work, we don't plan our kind of exit plan. And when it comes to financial languages, most of the time we don't want to talk about it. So I'm glad today we have Marian Bonnie Ankra. This is your time.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited to be in your midst. And thank you for the organizers for giving me this opportunity, to be here to share with you. It's a topic that a lot of people try to shy away from because nobody thinks about, all the potential negative things that could happen. And we pray that, none of those things will be our portion. But sadly, such is life. Who agrees with me? Such is life. Things happen all the time. But, I have a lot of respect. I'm here in band 8, band 7, and things like that. So you are doing very well in that area. How about putting your home in a situation where no matter what happens, it doesn't really matter? Okay, thank you. It doesn't really matter because you've prepared, you planned, you have something in place to make sure that should anything happen, your children will still have food on their tables, they will still have warm clothing, and they will still have their tuition. Something in place to make sure that your mom or your elderly relatives back home will still have something coming from you. So that is why I'm here. Am I welcome? Thank you. Okay, so we'll just wait for the slide to start. So I was introduced, and yes, it's true. My name is Marian Bonnie Ankra. I've worked in the financial industry, financial protection, industry for just over 15 years. I've helped individuals and families, and especially healthcare professionals, because let me take one product, for instance, income protection. Who has heard about income protection? Okay, and who would like to know what it is? Okay, so income protection is a replacement of your income. We can call it sick pay because it only pays in the event of sickness where you are not able to go to work. Okay, so if you're a breadwinner in the home, if you are somebody whose income is so important in the home, it means you have to make sure that regardless of any sickness, anything, poor health that will, or accident that will keep you out of work, your income is still flowing. That is income protection. And we normally do it for locum doctors, nurses, and midwives. But in recent times, even NHS employed professionals are making sure that they are having income protection, which starts from the 12th month, because we all know NHS one is exhausted by the 12th month. And there's a good thing in there. That's why I say healthcare professionals, because yours is 6 months, that's the maximum, 6 months full pay, and then after that is half pay or whatever. So what the insurance company will do is to make sure that from the 6th month onwards, your pay is not going to be just the half that NHS pays you, but it's topped up to what you would normally get. And then after the 12th month, your income protection starts, so which is about 80% of your normal net pay. Does that explain it? Yeah, and you have the option to be paid for up to 2 years if you were to stay at home due to accident or sickness for 2 years. You are able to also take it for 5 years. And I've said it over and over again. I've got people who took it, nurses, who took it for till retirement. So regardless of what keeps them at home, and therefore they are not able to go back to work, they get paid in this income protection every month till retirement. How about that? But that is a bit dear, depending on your age. But you can speak to me, and then we'll see how we can help in that regard. Okay, so let's start. So that is, sorry. Okay. All right, so who are we? I'm sure you can you see? Okay. Okay. So, as I've said, eminent financial, we are preeminent in service and quality, specializing in financial protection for healthcare professionals. And why does it matter? It gives you peace of mind and financial security in a demanding profession, which is extremely important. So we know, something about your service. It's a bit unpredictable. You've got unpredictable schedules and income variability. Okay, so that is why you do need to have a financial plan. And the fact that you've got high stress and occupational risks, we've got policies that help you. Whether it's an accident, somebody slips on the floor and they break their back, they're not able to walk again, or they are not able to, they are kept in hospital and things like that. There are products that can help. And then most of you who studied in this country are still burdened by student loans and financial commitments. So it's really important that you have these things in place. Okay. So as I said earlier, we have one popular product for people of your caliber, which is the income protection. So that ensures income during illness or injury. And then we have something which I consider very important, critical illness cover. The reason why I consider this very, very important is the fact that your health comes to play very much in critical illness. It's not like other products that you can easily get. So I keep telling people, now is the time that you can take critical illness, because you are healthier today than in the future. Hopefully we will continue to be healthy, but a lot of things happen in the future. So you take advantage of your health status today, take advantage of your age today, because all of these things are age bound. So if you secure your protection, then it means that regardless of what happens, you've got a policy already. And what does critical illness do? Critical illness protects us against very serious illnesses. We are all healthcare professionals, so we know. So things like cancer, we don't want to hear that name, but it keeps coming up. Things like cancer, stroke, heart attack, third-degree burns, and things like that. When you have critical illness, you are able to secure yourself against these things, where you are paid a lump sum. So let's say you are NHS employed, and therefore you have sick pay. Do you realize that after the 12 months, nothing comes in, and if you are not good enough to go back to work, that is the end of your career? How are you going to cope for the rest of the years? So critical illness comes in and pays a lump sum. And if you do have income protection, do you see how it's going to help? It's going to help you because your income is going to be continued. Okay? So that is why we have to put these things in place. And then when we come to, there's another one I can talk to you about, which is life insurance. Okay? Life insurance is a policy that you take or you put in place against any unforeseen death, or terminal illness, so that your family or whoever is financially dependent on you still have that quality of life, regardless of the fact that you are no longer with us, because a lump sum is left behind, and I will help you. Once you're accepted, I'll help you to put it into trust. Okay, myself or my team will help you to put it into trust. Putting your policy into trust is very, very important. A lot of people take life cover and they don't put it into trust, which means that it still is not going to be exempt from inheritance tax. I don't think we want to be paying premiums and then in the end, the government comes for 40% of it. And then putting your policy into trust means that the cover is very easy, the sum assured is very easy to assess by your family. I'm mindful of time. So, and then we have the accident, child cover, and hospitalization. Hospitalization is when somebody is admitted in hospital, they get paid on a daily basis. up to 1,000 days. That is a good one. I'm sure you've seen people come into hospital and, you know, they don't want to go because the number of days means the more the number of days, it means the more the money they would be paid. Okay, so we've got bespoke insurance packages that I could speak to you about, flexible plans to suit your needs, and then the advisory support that you can have. And we advise you, support you throughout, even claims. The whole of this week we've been dealing with claims, just supporting people. We don't leave them on their own, you know. So you don't have to pay for our service. So it's a good thing to have. You know, I was going to talk about an example, but I think I'll leave it here. So if you have any questions, you can ask, please. Any questions for me? Okay. So what I'll say is, if you want to know more, you can book a free consultation, and then assess your financial needs. We'll assess it and find out if you do need any kind of protection. And then we'll choose the right, we'll recommend the right protection plan for you. And then you enjoy your peace of mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Marianne. Like I said, these are conversations that we need to have with ourselves when it comes to insurance or protection. Most of us don't like to have that conversation because we are good enough to wake up in the morning, pack up and go to work, come back and cook your dinner and eat, and the next thing tomorrow. But the eventualities and preparing for eventualities is part of self-care, really. Because you know, most of us are parents, or not knowing where to start, where to go, who to talk to. And I always say, show me 5 people around you, then I'll know your network. 5 people around you know your network. And at work, you need to be very intentional when you're making your work colleagues as your network for growth. And when you talk about black and ethnic minority, sometimes we gravitate towards our black people at work. You end up having 10 friends who are black, and that might not move well for your careers. So the next speaker is going to be speaking to us. She's the Associate Director of Nursing for Safety and Risk. Nunu is an Associate Director of Nursing for Safety and Risk and Patient Safety Specialist at Royal Berkshire Hospital, NHS Trust. Nunu is also a graduate tutor for Patient Safety and Clinical Human Factors with Edinburgh University. Nunu has worked in private and acute hospital for over 30 years, working in theaters, intensive care, nursing, and quality and patient safety roles. Nunu has attained a Master's in Science in Management in Health and Social Care in 2011 and Master's in Science in Patient Safety and Clinical Human Factors in 2023. Nunu has special interest in patient safety and human factors. Nunu has done her studies, right? Nunu is passionate about coaching, mentoring, and developing others. She co-founded the BEM network in one of the trusts she worked in. Following the completion of the NHS program, Getting to Equity, she co-founded the Amari Women's Network to support out women leaders. I would love to hear from Nunu. So give up again to welcome Nunu as our presenter. She's talking about BEM challenges in the workforce.
Thank you, thank you. How do I follow those 3 amazing speakers that went ahead of me? And I do stand on your shoulders. So, as you have heard, my name is Nunu Onunurai, and I'm from Zimbabwe. And we do have food in Zimbabwe. And if you are from that, part of Africa, you know that we were once the bread basket of Africa. So everybody relied on us for food. But things did happen, as you know. So I've been asked to talk about the challenges of BEM staff working in the NHS. And there are multiple challenges. we all know of them. But what I'm going to ask is, any nurses and midwives who trained from outside the UK? Can you maybe stand up again? Sorry, just to see how many. Almost half the room. And whilst you're still standing, maybe one or two people, do you want to talk about what challenges you've faced, if any? Anyone? Standing makes us, stay alert, doesn't it?
I'm Mariana, and I did my studies in Germany. And one of my challenge was the language, but with the determination you get to get through, and with confidence, and when you know what you're doing, you don't, you face the challenges, but you're able to deal with them. So for me, it was the language, but I pulled through.
You managed to pull through. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Any challenges trained outside of UK?
I think my first challenge, it was a culture shock when I got here, and I've talked about it. Maybe some of you that have listened to me before, because in Kenya, where I trained, your diagnosis is very secretive. Sometimes you wish you could build a stone wall when you're being seen by the doctor, so that the doctor, the patient next to you cannot hear your diagnosis. And even some of us here, we've got diagnoses that we are hiding very tight in our handbags. We don't want anybody to hear. And then I came to this ward, and it's like there was a competition of diagnosis. Oh, I've had UTI 10 times. I've had this. And I'm thinking, what? So it's like they're shouting across each other. And I'm thinking, huh? What? How? I don't even know. If I have a UTI, I don't even want anybody to ever know I've had a UTI. So it was that was culture shock for me. There is so that one I've shared a few times. And then the other thing, I came in thinking mimi ni shujaa. Nimetoka kwetu Meru. Nikapanda matatu 4 hours to Nairobi. And then I come from Nairobi. I get on a plane for it. I'm like a queen. And then I come here, I'm ethnic minority. Now, how do these things tally? I'm bottom of the pile, and I'm expecting when I get here, they will know. This one has made it from the village. Ni shujaa. I come here, I'm not shujaa. I'm bottom of the pile. So those are some of the things, that culture shock. And I'm thinking, I talked to somebody else who said about bread. I was told to eat sandwich at lunchtime. My mom gave me bread with egg in the middle for breakfast. Me, I know it's egg and bread. And then I'm being given egg and bread for lunch. How? And then I buy it, it's £5. I say, give me £5. I convert it. I'll buy the whole village bread for 60 shillings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernice. You can sit down. Oh, sorry. There's another one. There's one more. Others can sit down, sorry, if you want to.
Yeah, I believe as nurses who trained back home, we are never short of challenges. And for me specifically, I would say, as nurses, we stood out back home. Yeah, we were the best. Our employers here thought we were the best for that job. They gave us the job. But when it trickles down to where you're working now, you got to convince your managers and your colleagues that you can do what you're needed to do, and to win their trust until you get to do it. It really takes time, and it really breaks you. The other challenge is, while practicing back home, we used to do a lot. While here, we feel like we are limited. I can't give paracetamol to a patient who is in pain until I call the doctor to come and write it down. Well, I know that patient really needs that paracetamol, but before it's written, I can't give it to that person. So we used to do really a lot. Some of us used to be surgeons in the villages. We used to do circumcisions, but here we feel like we are incapacitated. We know a lot, but we can't do it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And the reason why I asked those people that trained from outside the UK to stand up, I think, Mercy, you covered the bit about, you trained here and the different challenges that you faced. And I trained in Zimbabwe, and I qualified back in 1994. And I think, like many of you guys, we were the mini doctors back in Africa doing all sorts of things. But I was very fortunate because I worked in a private hospital in Zimbabwe. And I remember we used to have patients coming from the UK when they used to have long waiting lists for orthopedic surgery. And we used to have patients come to Zimbabwe, have their surgery done at the Avenues Clinic, giant Fiso at the back, the Avenues Clinic. It's a prestigious hospital. We used to have patients from other African countries. Patients would get operated, go and stay at the Holiday Inn, recuperating, getting, private physical therapy. Eating food, yes. Eating food. And then they would fly back to the UK. So when I came over here, my transition was much easier. But also we didn't have the title of IEN, because I think that also comes with a negative connotation. And I remember my adaptation was 2 months in a nursing home, which I hated because I was coming from a critical care background. And then I joined an acute trust in ITU. 3 months, I was a bottom D grade. And I went to my matron and I said, I've got experience, in fact, international experience. And she said, okay, that's fine. What do you want, Nunu? And I said, can you consider my pay? So I had an uplift of my pay. I was top D grade within 3 months of joining the organization. They advertised for an E grade. After 3 months of getting my pay rise, I applied. There were 3 of us, 2 who came from India, 1 from the Philippines. And we applied, and we got the E grade. So 6 months after joining the organization. And then that matron retired after about a year, and I started doing my ICU course and my teaching and assessing course. And bearing in mind that I'd already done a diploma of ICU nursing in Zimbabwe, which was more intensive than any other course I've done. My matron retired, and I got another matron, and things changed. From being a positive experience to a very, very negative experience. There was a lot of racism in the unit. And I think some of our challenges that we face, it depends in what part of the country you live in. I think some of those people that are sort of in London, Birmingham, I think it's probably better. I'm not saying there's no racism, it's there. But it's better than if you live in the countryside and you are on your own and everybody's looking at you. I remember when I went to Harrogate, when I did my supervised practice, people would walk and bump into walls and whatnot, looking at you and thinking, who is that? I remember in a nursing home, this old lady touched my hand and I said, oh, does your skin come off? And those are some of the experiences. Some you can probably understand and think, oh, this maybe old lady is coming from a different kind of era. But some you can't live with. And then there is the challenge of, you've got the knowledge, you've got the skills, you've got the experience, you're a mini doctor, and you're being de-skilled. But you've got this label of IEN, and you're starting at band 3, band 4, in an organization. Nobody's considering your experience. But how do you navigate, those challenges in the NHS as a BAME member of staff? I think that's what is important. We can list all the challenges, but I think what is important is how do we navigate? How do we succeed in an environment that is trying to push you down? How do you remain true to your values as somebody who is trained in Kenya or Zimbabwe. So I'll give you some of the things that I have learned. I have made my own mistakes along the journey because, when you are pushed against a wall, sometimes you say things and you do things that you regret later. And I'll give you an example. It's a very simple thing that happened. I was pregnant with my third child, my third daughter. And, when it comes to tea breaks, people decide we are going to go on the third break. And I was like, Jenny, who decided? Where did this conversation happen? Where was I? I'm taking the first break. And she was like, no, you can't. I said, I'm going. So she stood in front of me. I was in INTU, and I had a trolley, hemofiltration, you've got your filter bags, and you're going to the sluice room. And I pushed it with my trolley. I regretted that. There is a way of managing those things. And there is a way of challenging that. What I should have done is walk away, take a deep breath, and then come back and challenge, but I didn't. And that's the learning for me. And remember, I did this nice experience of joining the organization. I've got a new matron who's not supporting me. And this happens, it's a very small thing, but it can affect your career. So what I realized was, this is no longer my place. I need to leave, because I remember the matron then was on leave. She had to be called in because it was chaotic. And I was on my own, and this girl was being supported by everybody. You can imagine. And me, I'm crying and I'm screaming, and she's also screaming. After a few months coming back from maternity, I realized my time is done here. And I'd spent 9 years in that organization by this time. So there's something about how do we present ourselves in those difficult situations. How do you remain a professional in those difficult, because they will come and they will tempt you, they will test you, and they will push you. So walking away, having a network, I think Jay and Messi have already talked about having a network. It's really important because you need to talk to somebody who understands your challenges, but also is going to be able to give you some ideas in terms of how you manage that. I think previous speakers spoke about having a mentor and a coach. I'm going to say you need 4 people in your life, in your career. You need a friend. You need a mentor, yes. You need a coach. But you also need a sponsor. So I remember one of my long-term friends from Zimbabwe, Maxine. She took me aside and she said, no, take a deep breath. Breathe. Let's go back to what happened. And now how do we salvage the situation? So she's a friend, a long-term friend. She knows me. She knows my triggers. But she knows also, in terms of if I need to excel, she knows the things to say. And she knows in terms of signposting. So she's a good friend. Mentors and coaches, I won't touch on that because I think Messi and Jay have already talked about that. And if you need coaches, you know where to go. But I'll talk about sponsors. How many of you have heard about sponsorship or sponsors in career? 3 people. 4 and Wendy. So I think I'll spend a bit more time on sponsorship because I think it's really important. And some of the ways in which we can navigate, I think Jay and Messi have already touched on that in terms of, preparing for your interviews, being intentional, going into a meeting with an agenda. If you're called into a meeting, you need to be prepared. Don't just walk in. But there's also something about how many people have got shares in any business company? Anybody? A few? You've got shares. And you know what you're going to get at the end of a period and whatnot. I was talking to a friend. I was in a post and a job came up, and I'd only spent 6 months in that post, and the job came up, and I said to this friend of mine, there's this job and I want it, but I'm not sure whether I should apply for it because I've only been in this post for 6 months. And she said, so what's stopping you? I said, because of the 6 months, people will look at my CV and think, you're not reliable. You don't stay in organizations for long. And she said, no, do you have shares in this organization? I'm telling you, that made me really think. And I said, no, I don't. And then she said, so why are you worried about staying in this organization? If an employer wants you, and they know you've got the skills and the knowledge that they are looking for, they won't even look at the period that you have stayed in an organization. So some of us, we've stayed in organizations as if we've got shares in that organization. And there's something about staying and growing where you are planted, but you need to do it for a period, and then you move on. It's about being employable, isn't it? It's about being employable, because sometimes you need to, you are the brand, you are the package. You need to brand and rebrand yourself. If somebody says, I want to employ Nuno, they need to be thinking, what is it about Nuno that I want? Is it a knowledge and skills? Is it her attitude? Is it her qualifications? You are the brand, so you need to brand and rebrand yourself. So going back to sponsorship, I attended an NHS program. I think this group will know about it, the Getting to Equity program. It was an eye-opener. It was talking about these challenges that we face as BAME people, or people from the global majority. And there wasn't anything new. I first experienced racism when I was in Zimbabwe, because remember I said the private hospital where I worked in, we admitted a lot of people from outside the country, and 70% of the people that we looked after back then in the 90s were all white, and a small percentage of the Asian community. So you had to know about the different cultures in terms of, I'll give you an example. If a black person died, you have to give them a room and tissue so they can cry. And they'll be wailing and wailing. That's what we do, isn't it? Most of the white people, if a relative died, you have to give them the room. Give them the privacy they needed, tea and coffee. The Asians, they used to cry, but you had to make sure that you had to release the body that day. So coming over here, and that's why I said my transition was not that difficult. Even our technology, we're well advanced. And, but racism, I also faced it back then in Zimbabwe. But it wasn't to this scale that, we see it here in the UK. So going back to the Getting to Equity program, we talked about all the issues around discrimination, the challenges that we face as people from the global majority. And they spoke about sponsorship. And there's a TED Talk, you'll find it on Google or YouTube. If you just Google sponsorship TED Talk, it will come up. It's a woman from America. It's about 8 minutes long, but it's really powerful. But sponsorship is about getting somebody who is more senior, much more senior than you are, who is going to mention your name in places that you don't have a seat at the table. So when I was doing that program, I approached my then chief exec, and I said, Steve, can I see you? I want to talk about sponsorship. And she said, yeah, no, come. We had done some work together. And so an appointment was arranged. I went into his office, and he said, okay, so what do you want? What do you want money for? I said, no, Steve, I don't need money. I want you to sponsor me. And she said, what do you mean? So then I explained. I had to send that video to him. And he said, oh, this makes sense. Okay, let's have a meeting. So we had a meeting, and he said, I want you, Nunu, to tell me the things that you enjoy the most. But I also want you to tell me the things that you enjoy the least. And tell me areas where you feel you want to be stretched. So I went away and I did that exercise, came back and we had a conversation. And he said, okay, I also want to know the places that you want to work into. ICB, providers, private. I said anything. Secondments, I said yes. But the reason why I went to Steve and the other sponsors that I then, contacted was because he sits on the board. I've only been to the board once before I met him. And that was when I was a D grade trying to set up a BME network back in 2008. And I said, Steve, you sit in these meetings and I don't, but I know you know me, you know what I'm capable of. So I want you to mention my name. Projects, you name it. But sponsorship works in two ways. So your sponsor needs to have faith in you. You need to earn it. You need to prove it. Because if I'm going to say I'm going to sponsor Jay, I need to know that if I say there's a secondment, I'm seeing potential in him. It doesn't have to be the finished product, but I need to see potential. I need to see attitude. I need to see good behavior. I need to see role modeling. I need to see professionalism. I need to see that desire to want to do more and learn more. So sponsorship is a relationship currency. So we've got our monetary currency that Mariam was talking about, but this is a relationship currency. And it's what gets most people ahead of the pack. Our challenge is that we don't have representation at the top. So my slides, there were 3 slides. What I was going to show was the snowy white peaks. So there was a research done by Roger Klein, for those that know Roger Klein, and he talks about the snowy white peaks. So basically he's saying, all you see at the top is white people. There isn't anybody of color. So when Jay was saying he was the only exec director from the global majority, it comes with a lot of weight. Because you're trying to enter into spaces where there is very little representation of people of color. And that's what the Getting to Equity program was trying to address by making sure that, people from global majority are empowered, but also you're being empowered to go and find a sponsor. So the sponsors, if you're lucky if they come to you and say, okay, I found there's a secondment, do you want to go? Because you'll find our counterparts, this is what happens because they have a relationship with the person. They go to the pub, they go and do all sorts of things. And that's where conversations start in terms of, career progression. For those that play golf, you know that, a lot of conversations around career progression or businesses, they happen in the, on the golf course. So it's trying to find social events where you are known. You need to go out there. When I came over here, I wasn't used to going to the pub, but I've started going because that's where the conversations happen. So you need to go there. I go there not because I want to drink. I am a preacher, I don't drink. But I'm going there to drink orange juice and tap into the conversations. But it's important that you find a coach, a sponsor. I had a coach whom I worked with in the same organization. For me, it was the biggest mistake I made because it's difficult to have a coach in the same organization. For some people it works, but for me it was really difficult. But when I found coaches outside my organization, the amount of support, the amount of encouragement, I was performing differently at work because they are coaching you based on what they see in you or the potential they see in you. They are asking you those difficult questions because there are no perceived things about you. I've got 3 sponsors. I've got many coaches. I've got many mentors. Use them to your advantage. Another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of navigating challenges in the NHS, we need to start from a positive mindset. I think here in the UK, our biggest challenge, yes, is maybe racism and whatnot, but I think sometimes we are our own worst enemy. So you go into a conversation, you've not done any preparation. My motto is I'll go into an organization, I'll not leave that organization without obtaining something that is valuable, something that I can show. And I can prove that in all the organizations where I've worked. If I don't have a certificate, I've got something. So they were talking about being intentional. When you join an organization, when you've got a new job, you need to start planning your exit. Remember, you don't have shares. So start planning. Okay, we're writing goals. 2008, I attended my first ever conference for BME in Manchester. Yvonne Kogi was there. And I remember we did the same exercise, Mercy. And I remember writing, I want my first matron job in 2 years. That was 2008. In 2009, I got my first matron job. It's powerful to write things down, be intentional about it. You go into an appraisal, you've only done the bare minimum, but what are you trying to get out of it? Because if you don't go with something, things are going to be dictated for you. So you need to go with something. I've done investigations where some of, our brothers and sisters, either they've been taken through grievance and whatnot, and you look at some of the allegations. You sit in a meeting room, you are sitting on the other side of the table, and you see your brother and sister, the way they are responding. We need to change that attitude. I was taught professionalism and etiquette when we used to call it PTS back in Zimbabwe. It was the old UKCC kind of training. And those values, they've stayed with me. Yes, I wanted to push somebody with a trolley. Whether it was, hormones because I was pregnant, I don't know. It's not something that I'm proud of. And I still talk about it because I want some people to learn from it and say, look, it's how we present ourselves, because people are going to see you through your eyes. So if you go in there, into that meeting, and you present yourself in a way that shows maybe you are not professional, that's how people are going to see you. Even if you go into interviews and you say, oh, I haven't prepared, people are going to see that you haven't prepared. If you say, I can't do it, this is not my job, people will see that in you. But if you say, I can do it, people wonder, they'll pause and think, why is she saying she can do it? So there's something about self-belief. And then others will push you, will support you to go to the next stage. But one of the things that I've also witnessed, my worst enemies are my fellow Zimbabweans. I don't know about you Kenyans. Not Jay. But do you agree, Wendy? Your worst enemies are your brothers and sisters from Nigeria. So you go into the workplace, you are trying to do something good. The people that are going to go behind you are your fellow brothers and sisters. It's a shame. It's a shame. instead of encouraging you, we need to change this mentality where we say we come to the UK to look for, to work for money. That needs to change. Because you get to 70, you're still working for money, you've got nothing. There's something about self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's something about self-actualization. Do something for me, for yourself. You're not doing it for anybody. And this group mentality, we need to work and build houses. Yes, we need houses. Yes, we do need all those things, but there's something about, because you know what, we complain, we're not seeing the snowy white peaks. Yes, we complain that we're not seeing people go up the ladder, but what have you done about it? So if I'm going to coach someone, if I'm going to sponsor someone, they have to be prepared to put in the work. Because it's my name at the end of the day, it's my reputation. Because if I sponsor you and you go and mess up, it's also my reputation. So before you go and ask somebody, I ask so many people. I ask Jay. I say, Jay, please, can you sponsor me? But I know he's got so many people. But you've got to ask. Ask 20 people, you'll get 10 sponsoring you. And don't be offended if people say they can't at that time, because you know what? Everybody's looking for a sponsor. You should be grateful that they've even responded, because people are busy. And they're also looking for sponsors. Yes, it's true. It's true, because you know what? You can't pour from an empty cup. You've got to be full yourself. So you're also looking for a sponsor to fill you up before you can pour out. So again, that same kindness you're expecting from somebody, you've got to extend that to the sponsors and the coaches, because they are so overwhelmed. Last point. I've got 2 masters, I've got many other diplomas and degrees, and it's something that we discussed as part of the Getting to Equity program. Education is good, it plays a part, but it doesn't see you go up the ladder. And this is where coaching and sponsorship comes in. So your qualifications, they are good. So one of the things that I've witnessed is we set up an internationally educated nursing council in the other organization that I worked in. And one of the things that I realized was that we had professors who had come in from overseas as IENs, working at Band 5. And but it wasn't their education that got them to the next stage. It was people noticing them and saying, I want to sponsor that person because I'm seeing something in them. So often I used to see a lot of people putting in applications because they wanted to do courses, degrees and whatnot. Don't do degrees for the sake of doing a degree. You've got to decide and design your career path. And then you've got to follow and run with it. They are good degrees, but they only play a part. I remember when I finished my first degree in leadership, and I got promotion. I joined an organization as a senior nurse, 2 months, and I jumped from a senior staff nurse to Band 7. So I think some of the people sitting here probably they will testify. It's easy to jump a grade. And after 2 months, there was no matron in that ICU. After 2 months, they said, "Oh, we need to look for somebody to do a secondment as a matron." And I applied, and I got it. But the message I'm trying to put across is the danger with putting people in bands is that they put you in a box. We do that in the NHS. We put people in a box. The banding doesn't do the job. It's your knowledge, skills, and experience that will do the job. But you also need a network. A network of friends, a network of allies, so people who do not look like you, but who understand your challenges and want to support you to go up the ladder. I think I'm done, ain't I? And then lastly, can I just say this? I think my bio, they mentioned Amari Women's Network. So Amari Women's Network, it's a network for, it's a network for nurses, and I can see Wendy's here. We've had a conversation about also including midwives. So yes, it's a network for nurses and midwives. And I was going to have a conversation. It's a network for nurses and midwives working at band 8C and above, so that we can support each other, we can sponsor each other, we can coach each other, but we can also have these difficult conversations around, I'm struggling at work. You've got that network that's going to support you. So our 3 key ambitions is to support and ensure that we've got good representation at the top, including board level. The second one is influencing policy and research within the NHS and beyond. And then the third one is lifting as we rise, so supporting those that are band 8 and below. And so if you need any support or to know more about the network, please do get in touch. Thank you.
Wow, what a powerful presentation. Can I say in Swahili, moyo means heart? And that was very good heart-to-heart conversation, isn't it? Because challenges at work, especially when it comes to color, it doesn't go unnoticed. But sometimes it's you to decide. You can't choose how they behave. You can choose how you respond. And that is where you have the power. Choosing how you respond shows your professional standards, and at all times, you got to maintain your professional standards. I know a lot of us are loudmouth because we are just, black people are loud naturally anyway. But how you handle and calibrate your voice at work tells how well you can handle leadership. And it's important for us to think about that. And sometimes we train and coach ourselves on how we talk to people, how we respond to people. You know your weaknesses, go and work on those. Thank you so much for that presentation. I know there's a lot of speaking today, but it's a conference. We're learning from each other. We would like to engage more, so I'm going to ask you to stand up because we've been sitting down for a long time. And I want to take, because introducing yourself is also very intentional. You always have to have 3 sentences of yourself, introducing yourself to people, and you would think that people will remember. So I want you to walk to somebody you haven't talked to, so you don't talk to people on your table. Go and talk to somebody and introduce yourself. Let us see. I want to see people walking. Introduce yourself. Not on the same table. I already know you. Thank you. I can already see people are laughing with each other, telling each other we'll talk to you later on. Oh wow, we have a lot to talk about. And as a host now, I'm going to walk around and also introduce myself. My name is Janet Wanaina. I'm the president and founder of Face of Kenya. I'm an instructional coach. I'm an educator and expert in education. Can we have a seat now? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Can we have silence? Thank you very much. We love to talk. Look, the conversations are not stopping. The introductions are powerful. Thank you. Now, our 30 seconds finished a while ago. Are you still introducing yourself? Oh, fabulous. Now, the next presenter, like I said, you have your notebook. Take your notes. Take your quotes. Go and apply. We're going to be talking about, we are having Wendy Olayiwola. Wendy values personal development, philanthropy, and mentoring, just as passionately promoting and advocating for equality and equity are integral to her core values and beliefs. Wendy is a registered nurse and practicing midwife with more than 2 decades of clinical practice and leadership in the community. Acute and public health. The recognition and influence of her ability and impact in the UK and internationally are evident by the charitable work and contributions, publications, and speaking internationally. She's very passionate about supporting and empowering nurses and midwives to provide culturally sensitive and holistic care for women and their families. Wendy has been awarded a British Empire Medal, give it up for her, for service to the NHS and equality during the COVID-19 response in the 2021 New Year's Honours List. In March 2022, she was awarded Royal College of Midwives, RCM Fellowship, and admitted as a Fellow of the African Society of Arts, FRSA 2020. She was listed in the 2020 Year of the Nurse and Midwife Global, WHO. She's actually among 100 outstanding women nurse and midwife leaders. She is a winner of the NHS and Women Leaders Award 2018. So very highly achieved, very highly dedicated, and still on the conversation of equality, she has more to talk to us about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Host. An honor to be here today. Good afternoon, colleagues. Is it afternoon or morning? It's afternoon, okay. You can tell that I think I'm still a bit, yeah. So, gosh, so lovely to see many people in the room. Thank you, Benny and the team, for inviting me today. So greetings from Nigerian Nurses Charitable Association. How many Nigerians are in the room, by the way? So you didn't invite us. Ha. Benny. But yes, thank you. And again, great to see many Kenyans in the room. We are good friends. Yes, I think I have, how long do I have? Where is the Madam Host? How many? Okay, I will make it about 10. Because I have to rush back to London for another engagement. So I've been asked to talk about addressing health inequalities in ethnic minority patients and staff. And sad that I missed Mercy and Jay's conversation. Amazing presentation, Lulu. I'm not sure how to follow that, but I haven't been asked to talk about my own journey or talk to you about mentors, sponsors. I think you've gotten enough of that from the experts. So, in the next couple of minutes, I will be hopefully having your attention to have this conversation. I really do not want it to be, I'm just presenting to you. I'm sure many things that many of us are saying today, you already know about it. It's just refreshing and having those conversations and identifying where do we plug into that. Because conferences, sometimes we just hear and hear and hear, and again, what do you do about those points? What do you do? So I will always, can I say RCM in the room? As in really? Hello! That's my college. Lovely to see RCM in the room. Right, sorry. Yeah, so it is very important that when you take things, and I'm so truly impressed because when I go to places to speak, And people are just looking at me speaking, and I'm thinking, especially those nuggets that the senior leaders have spoken to you about. I hope you've taken a lot of notes. I always say this anywhere I go. Where are your notes? Have you taken notes? Don't wait for slides. Will slides be shared? And I said, no. Stop asking if slides will be shared. Because everything that is being said with that slide is not on the slides. Oftentimes, the good nuggets are not on those slides. So even when you open the slides, you don't make sense of it. But when you take your notes, please, do take notes. And we black people, we are not good at doing that. You know what? I always say this is not part of my presentation, by the way. But I always say this to people, please always take notes. When I meet with my manager on an informal conversation, she's taking notes. And I'm wondering, what are you noting down? You know? So please, guys, always take notes when you are in a conference workshop, because then our brain, the way it's wired, you can't remember everything, no matter how intelligent you are. It's a full day. Many people are speaking with you, at you. There's so much information. Please do encourage. And I always say this to myself. So why health inequality? Why does it matter? You know. And we already know, and I think many people have said this, everything they've said actually link into why it matters to us. You probably not see a white person standing here talking about health inequalities, probably from a patient's perspective or from staff perspectives. And why did I say that? Because oftentimes they don't have that lived experience. They don't know what it looks like to be the minority in some spaces. They don't know what it looks like to actually suffer more mortality rate. They don't know what it feels like to have that discrimination, racism, you know, views of things. So this is why it matters. And we know ethnic minority patient faces higher morbidity. My next slide will actually show some statistics and mortality rate across multiple conditions. I am a registered nurse and a practicing midwife, and I can tell you, even in my profession as a midwife, the disparity that exists within maternity and neonatal within our communities, black community and brown communities, it is actually palpable, and it's a stark, data in that space. So we have that inequality that exists amongst various communities, but I must say to you, in black communities, it's much more epidemic, and it's much more higher in terms of the black community when it comes to health inequalities. And then amongst the staff groups, the experiences of which obviously colleagues may have mentioned that, and I think what Nolu, because I heard Nolu spoke, not others, probably politically did not say. She's given you some nuggets, but politically what she probably did not spell out or mention or call out is, again, the description of our experiences. So it does not matter where you trained in this system. Trained back home, trained here, you will experience racism, discrimination. The higher rate of your experiences is the rates of experiencing is absolutely high. So, and in terms of career progression, barriers and burnout, we know that black nurses, black midwives really experiences that higher. So addressing these disparities is not just about equity. Yes, we're talking about inequalities, but also it's not just about equity. It's also about delivering that safe, fairer, and culturally sensitive care, not only for patients, but also for staff. So understanding the health inequalities is absolutely key. What does that look like? And what I have done is, because obviously I'm not just talking from my day job, which is maternity, but I'm actually giving you a broad sense of inequality that exists across different specialties. So for instance, maternity, and when we talk about different challenges, different clinical outcomes, maternity is always to be at the top or number one. Because, and like I say, if you get it right for maternity, for that mother, if you have an healthy mother or woman, let's say more woman, an healthy woman, the healthy woman will have an healthy pregnancy, hopefully. But if that woman has an healthy pregnancy, has an healthy baby, that baby grows into an healthy adult, then you have an healthy community. That's just it. And I don't know, it's really as simple as that, but it's not as simple in reality. Hence, if you don't, the challenges. So if you get it right, basically, in maternity and neonatal services, you probably get it right across all other clinical areas. So we know that black women are, 3.7 times more likely to die in pregnancy than white women. And also, that even applies to their babies. We know black babies are more likely to end up in stillbirth and neonatal death than the white babies. So chronic illness, again, black and Asian communities are at least 50% more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. Are you aware of that? And what are we doing about that? Because again, I think from where I stand from, I always like to say that yes, there is a systemic issues, but we still own it. This is us. I don't expect somebody to be accountable for what I eat and how I live my life. Let the system be horrible, but I can't be horrible to myself. So as a community, I think we have a role to play in this data to ensure we educate ourselves, and not just education, to ensure we live well, and we obviously cascaded that to other family members or whatever it is. How can we be 50% more likely to have diabetes? Because when you have diabetes obviously make you more at risk to other functions. So it is important, because this is what I would just want to challenge us. And when you look at the Chinese community or Japanese, other communities, because of time I couldn't bring those statistics. It's very low. So what is it that they're doing? And I'm not talking about the way we are structured, because what to eat makes up who you are. What is it in our diet, in our lifestyle, that is making us, having this data within our communities? So mental health as well, mental health access, and it's not just mental health access. It's also about culturally, and we know in Africa, we don't talk about mental health. And we still don't. I know there's been a lot of work in that space, so it's not about access, it's also about the barriers as well as, engagement. So there may be an issue with access, but also engagement, because you can only engage with what you believe in. Because we don't believe that we have mental health, and the way we deal with it within our communities also prevent us to engage. So access is definitely there as well. So cancer outcomes. And I think cancer doesn't know your ethnicity, your demographics. Cancer it's just like pandemic. When pandemic came, pandemic did not know, as in the COVID-19, did not know who is black, who is white, who is brown, who is green. COVID was colorless. COVID was colorless. So it does not matter. And this is what we really need to look at when it comes to cancer outcomes. Why are we, 25 to 30% more likely to receive a late-stage cancer diagnosis? Why? Why? So again, it's not necessarily about the system. Is it because we are presenting late? So there's some conversation we need to have amongst us and within our communities. I think let's be real. System has their issues, we can address that, but we also need to look inward and internally and see how can we prevent this. We should own it. We should own it. So, and that's obviously, the first slide was very much around the patients, communities, and other stuff. So this is for the staff in terms of the inequalities. I've already mentioned discrimination, racism, discrimination and bullying. Again, we know that what NHS staff survey says about it, 29% of ethnic minority report workplace discrimination compared to 23% of white staff. And I must say, this data, which is the race data, only a year or so old, we have seen it fluctuating over the years. It was very bad, more not more favorable like this, but it looks okay if you look at 29 and 23%. That's like about, what is the difference? I can't even do my maths. 6%, 6, 8, 9, 6% difference. That is not too bad actually, considering that we are minority ethnic, in the system. But so it has improved over the years just based on everything that Nulu said. It has improved. But there's still, it would be nice to see it, equalized. Whatever that looks like. In terms of career progression gaps. But again, when you look at this data, the first data of 29% and 23%, if you look at it within different professional groups, again, it will be different. One will be much more higher than the other. So career progression gaps, again, that's very clear, and that is huge when you look at the 10% of NHS senior leadership roles are held by ethnic minority professional groups. 10%. When the workforce is more than 50% in terms of the representation. So you see the more of us at the lower band, over-represented at the lower banding. The well-being and burnout. And I just wonder when I saw this statistics about the well-being and burnout, and I'm thinking, black people, we're strong. We burnout, where did you get burnout from? In Achmos, as we are strong cookies, right? And I guess when you look at the culture, and this is where culture comes in, and it's because our culture believes and the way we look after ourselves are not being considered. Our faith. At workplace, I always say to people, when you see nurses, some nurses, both black or white, that smokes, every second, I'm going for a fag. And they don't need to take permission. I'm going for a fag. There's no need for, put it down. How long have you gone for that fag? In a day? No. But you're not given the time as a Christian to go and do 5 minutes prayer, 10 minutes prayer, because you don't fag. Or a Muslim to say, actually, I need to take a time out, I need to go and pray. So faith needs to come into that space of clinical areas because that helps our mental health. Many of those that smoke and go for the fag helps. It's about their mental health, right? But they did not consider that for those of us that do not smoke or drink, our faith steps in for us. And this is one of my campaigns. Faith needs to come into clinical areas to support our staff. I'll ask them. So you don't fag because you don't smoke. But what is it that we need to do to help you during that 12-hour course of shift? Do you want to go? If you want to, oftentimes I don't take permission any longer when I was in the clinical areas. I just go to toilet and go and pray, especially when somebody has offended me. I just go to toilet and say, Holy Spirit, you need to come into this space before I lose my temper. You just need to learn that intelligence, you need to learn. You just need to learn. And you cannot leave your faith, beliefs, and values at home. No, you can't. Authenticity means you bring all yourself to work. So you need to learn how to bring your faith and how to manage your faith in terms of challenges. And there is always a challenge at workplace on a daily basis. So if you needed, like the example that Nulu cited, if you needed to excuse yourself and go to the toilet and say, Holy Spirit, you need to come into this space. I always say that when I was in clinical areas. Even up to now, I still say it. You need to come into this conversation, before I come to say, Father, forgive me. Because I don't want to. And I'm being people that are close to me, they know. And if it is, you don't know God, but you believe in looking into the sky, whatever it is there, give me energy and wisdom to deal with this. Whatever your faith is, you need to bring it in. And for black people, we are faith-based communities. We are faith-based people. So whatever you believe in, walk away and say, I need help here. And that's a typical example Nulu gave to us. So well-being is absolutely key. Your family is absolutely, if you have to go and call a friend as part of the option, call a friend. Do not wait until that problem comes to you. Call a friend. So there are many options. Holy Spirit, come in. Mohammed, whatever you want to call, Allah, come in. You know, if it has to be, let me call a friend. You know, I can smell a rat. Don't let that rat appear before you. I was smelling you, but you just suddenly appear. Don't let that cat appear. No. You need to work on your senses, including smelling. So before that rat goes through those double doors, you're already prepared. So when the rats appear, you know, yes, I'm already waiting for you. So you need to learn that. That is, that's emotional intelligence, clinical intelligence, workplace intelligence. You know, you really need to learn it fast. You need to learn it fast. So these are the causes of health inequalities. It's quite a lot, but I've narrowed it down to just two. Systemic barriers, systemic issues. You know, that things that I've already mentioned, is all there, is all palpable. There's some things you have control over, and there's some things you don't have control over. One of them is systemic barriers. Please walk away. Whatever you have control over, deal with it. What you don't have control over, work around it. Socioeconomic and environmental factors. And we know that in terms of poverty, socioeconomic determinants, we, especially black people, are more at risk of all that. And how do we as a community? So I'll bring Asian community into this conversation. When you study Asian communities, they are not poor. And why are they not poor? Why are they being seen as after the white community, then Asian community, then other communities, then black communities are at the bottom of the list? What is it? So we need to start having that conversation amongst us, not as just Kenyans or Zims or Nigerians, but as a whole group of people from the continent. We need to hone our destiny, even in this country. So it is important that we can. So as nurses and midwives, and I think somebody talked about insurance. Again, insurance is not what we deal with, because it's not part of our culture. We can't die, and we can't be sick, God forbid. You know. So, but actually reality is we will die. You know, and there will be time of sickness. But how do we get prepared for all that on eventualities? And we can't continue to be at the bottom of the list. And these are the impacts of those outcomes, those inequality outcomes, and the workforce well-being. So it is important that you look after number one. And I think as a community and as black people, you know, we always think about everybody else except us. Everyone else. We have responsibility here and even back at home. How many international educated nurses are in this room? Not the ones that have been here forever. Okay, for the last 3 years, you just arrived in the country. Oh, that's quite a good number. And the reason why I asked that is, I know the first year you may want to think, how do I settle in this culture? What is it? How do I manage all this new culture, settling down, understanding the language, the accent, understanding the way people work? That's fine. But after 1 year, you are not an international educated nurse anymore. Let me tell you. Please, when they call you that, no, because it's about disaggregation as well. When they call you that, no, you are not part of the workforce. You are now provided, you have your NMC number, because when you present yourself to the NMC, they will not be thinking, where did you train? No. So please, when they call you IENs, tell them, no, you are not IENs. You're a nurse and this is your name. Okay? It is very important. And then the responsibility that lies so much on you, because people are still back home expecting you to send money, please tell them at home to wait until you are ready. And it can take you, because if you don't manage the expectations, the pressure here will weigh you down. So you really need to manage all that. You need to reduce the stress, because you've come into a system that has a lot of challenges for black people. And they're just waiting for you to be part of that system. I can see, yes, you are standing up. I will be rounding up now. So it is very important. Your mental health, your job satisfaction and retention, we have that issue. Because we are very strong, you probably not drop off, but there's so many other people that drop off because of the pressure that the inequality has created. So these are the strategies for change. We need to, I know there's a lot of work around culturally sensitive care. I don't know whether in your workplace, they're not just thinking that we are providing care for white people, but we're also providing care for other communities. And that care needs to involve their beliefs, their values, their culture, so that we can provide the right care for them. Anything below that is not the right care. And we're having workforce that have the right skills, providing the right care for the right people. And if you think that is not, you're not being supported by that, then go on that culturally sensitive training. When we say culturally sensitive education or training, it's not only for white people. It's not actually only for white people. It's all for all of us. Because like I said to people, Africa has 54 countries on that continent. Zim, I don't know what it looks like for you guys if I'm caring for Jay in his old age, for instance. What do I need to consider? I don't know. Huh? Food, exactly. For, I don't know what it looks like for Kenyans. Does that make sense? And you probably don't know what it looks like for Nigeria that has only God knows how many tribes in that country. So you cannot, one size fits all approach cannot continue to go on. So again, workforce equity and inclusion, there's so much work in that space to improve our work experiences. And I think this is my last slide, if I'm right. So equity in healthcare is not an optional thing. It is essential. It's not an optional that we have to, we don't have time. We have more priorities, yes, and this must be a priority. So it has to be essential. We have to commit to being culturally responsive. So you are an advocate in that space for different communities, especially for black communities. You have to be part of the policy driven. When they're writing policy, if you're not at the table, as they say, you'll be the menu. So for us to be able to provide care for our communities, and you're in the space, put yourself forward. If a policy is being written and drafted, be part of it, and you can bring that intelligence of various communities. And, we have to push for systemic, reforms. And I think you've heard from some leaders, and that they've been doing that anyway in terms of what does that look for everybody. And for everyone, like I said, we all have a role to play. We need to continue to be an advocate. We need to continue, to challenge inequalities wherever you see them. Use your sphere of influence to challenge this. And it may be very difficult for the newbies. It may be difficult, and that is why everything that Nolu said about mentors, sponsors, coaches, don't think about sponsors at the moment. Just think about mentors. Get those mentors, someone that you can, a friend, very important, that you can speak to about how do I address inequality. I can see some uncomfortable behavior at workplace. How do I challenge it? How do I speak up? Speaking up is absolutely key, not for you alone, but for the community that we serve. And the community we serve includes our tribes. So it is important that you are in that position to be able to safeguard them. When someone comes into the hospital, and I've heard this from women, pregnant women, that when I come into maternity care, when I see someone that looks like me, I feel at rest. I feel peace, because they understand my culture. When a black woman comes in, it doesn't matter where I am from in Africa, the fact that I am black, she feels, oh God, thank God. Somebody is here that looks like me, that perhaps we understand how pregnancy feels like, looks like in my community. And when that sick patient in bed and you walked in, oh, I'm taking over your care, a black person, we say, oh gosh, the first thing they'll probably ask you, where are you from, with a smile? It's because they just feel, oh, I'm in a safe hand. So please, I challenge you all today, regardless of banding, regardless of where you are. Banding does not determine your skills and your experience. Safeguard and advocate for our communities. Thank you.
Oh, wow, that was amazing. Can we clap for her again? I love when she said her coping mechanism is pray in the toilet. You know what? And I think how important that is. We take it for granted that each one of us can have an overwhelming day at work. And when we do, what is your coping mechanism? Some of us are screamers. Oh my God, what is wrong? Everybody responds differently. But you got to ask yourself, what is your coping mechanism so as you can keep your professional standards? Thank you so much, Wendy. I'm inspired. Are you all inspired? Today is inspiring and empowering day for self-growth. And we would, personally, I'm feeling most of these conversation I can relate to. Most of this conversation I can apply. It's finding yourself in all this conversation and knowing where do you go with it. I know for me, sometimes I was asked, so, you went to school in Africa, you went to school. How did you even walk without shoes? By the age of 12, I didn't even have shoes. Explain to this person, they're not being ignorant, they're young people, not being ignorant. How did you walk without shoes? Okay, I can't understand your accent. And I'm like, I can't understand you as either, but I'm trying so hard. Can you please try a little bit for me? The way you answer these things, you're in charge of your mind. And I'm so inspired. And I remember Madam Moyo there talking about finding a sponsor. I do a lot of community events. Sponsorship meaning you find somebody who can put some money for your event. But today we got a different definition for sponsorship. So where you're going, in your workplace, ask yourself, look around, be poaching now. Be poaching. Who can be a good sponsor? Who can be a good, who am I relating to that I think in the future they sit in boardrooms, they can mention my name? Totally intentional. I am so inspired today. Are you inspired? Yes. Now the next person to speak, and of course we will have some dance moment. Don't get worried because we go, I say formal time, and then we go social time. We're looking forward to social time, but right now we're still formal. The next person to speak, she's Veronica. She's a self-discovery and inner awareness coach who has dedicated her career to empowering women to discover their potential, build their personal confidence and resilience, grow internally and transcend challenging times with grace so they can step into their personal power and impact their world. She's also published author, a registered mental health nurse, a trained dialectical behavior therapist with over 2 decades of experience working with people presenting with complex mental health problems, as well as the founder of the Kevin Kararwa Leukemia Trust, KKLT. It's a charity that was founded after the death of her son, Kevin Kararwa, after failing to get a stem donor in the United Kingdom. I was aware about that situation. We were there. And for the first time, people in the United Kingdom started talking about how can you become a donor? It required her to lose her son for that conversation to be relevant in the United Kingdom. And the trust also educates and encourages people, particularly from the Black ethnic minority in the UK, to register as potential stem donors and save lives. So from her pain, from her tears, has been a growth of a woman who has been absolutely resilient. Veronica Kararwa. Give it up for Veronica.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon again. Why don't you cheer up a little bit? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So let me first of all thank Bernice, or the organizer of this event, because I really wish when I qualified that we had forums like this that we can learn so much that you are learning today. Because personally, I had to grow through my own way and through experience. And you know, experience is a good teacher, but also you go through hard time. Do you agree with me? So, and for just a short time, I remember when I was on placement, when I was studying to be a nurse, I remember very well going for placement and finding this nurse. I'll never forget that story. And then I asked her, it was an orthopedic, I was training for mental health, but you had to start going everywhere. And then I found this nurse and I asked her, how long have you been here? And she said, 7 years. And as you say, I know we're talking about birds, she was at bird 5. And I asked her, bird 5, 7 years. I had to breathe and I was thinking, gosh, when I qualify, I don't want to be in the same position for 7 years, and especially bird 5. So when I qualified, my mind was, I want to develop myself. And I realized that if you don't take it upon yourself to develop within the career pathway or within NHS, you can actually get stuck in one position for as long as you want, as all the speakers have been saying here. So you have to take your personal development personally. You have to make sure that you know the path you want to go through. You take advantages of every training, and I'm talking this to people who have just qualified and have just started, because unless you do that and you look for positions and situations where you want to go forward, then you will going to remain in one position for as long as you choose. Does that make sense? Because I remember I had to use my own way of how do I navigate this. And thank God that even within 6 months, I was looking at bird 6. And somebody was telling me, slow down, slow down. But you see, it is up to you. The other thing I've also learned about, because today is about personal development, it's so good because personal development starts with you as a person, as an individual. And I know that if you don't develop personally, and when I talk about developing personally, it's from within. So it is so important, because unless you do that, then even as you go up the career, if you have not developed yourself personally, you might even lose, because that is what I have found. Because in terms of personal development, there are things like emotional intelligence. There are things that you learn along the way. And if you don't, then it might even affect as you grow that career, it might affect that. So it all starts with your personal leadership. So, but that's not why I'm here today. I just thought of talking about that. I was told to come and talk about resilience. Say resilience. Resilience. What is resilience? You are right. Resilience is when we experience tough things, and instead of them pushing you down under, you bounce back. Yeah? You bounce back. So, but the reason that why do people experience stuff and then they don't bounce back? Who would agree with me that in life, stuff happens? Would you agree with me? And it doesn't matter whether you are a CEO, it doesn't matter whether you're the president or your royal family, stuff happens. And sometimes this stuff that happens, it comes from the blues and it can come and hit you on the bright side. However, sometimes when stuff happens to us, there are a few things that we do or the way we cope with it that actually can affect our bouncing back. One of them is putting our heads in the sand. What do I mean by that? Putting our head down in the sand is living in denial. Say denial. How do you live in denial? In our culture and in our traditions, we have seen a lot of this. So stuff is happening, issues are happening, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, wherever it is. But instead of you facing those issues, you hide or you live in denial, and you want to put this facade that everything is okay. But actually, things are very, very bad. So people can see, Because that's what happens. When you put your heads in the sand, what is left behind? Huh? Everybody can see you. But they can't ask you because you're not saying it, you're not talking about it, so they know something is wrong, but because you're in denial, you keep on going. But what we don't know is that all those emotions, you're suppressing them. The other thing that we do is we run away from stuff. And what do I mean? I don't mean literally. I mean when stuff happens to us, we have this tendency, most especially men, they go drinking, they want to go to the pub and they want to cover everything, or people take drugs and all sorts of things. But what do women do? Who would tell me what most of us do as women? Yeah? Gossiping is one, but even gossiping is good because sometimes you can get stuff out of your. We either eat, sometimes we get ourselves very busy, especially in churches. You see these women, they are always there in every, and they're running away from something. Yeah? They don't want to face it. Yeah? They are running away from stuff. Sometimes they're very busy in the community. You're wondering, when do they ever get time for themselves? Sometimes they're running from stuff, away from things that they need to face. What is happening? A very bad way of dealing with issues. Sometimes the other thing that people do, we beat our chests. And I've seen this with a lot of women. When stuff happens, you beat yourself in the chest, or that can't happen to me. She shouldn't do that to me. Have we seen women, after they've realized that their husbands have been cheating, what do? Yeah? Instead of sitting back and thinking, what have just happened? How do I deal with this? So they go fighting the other woman or the man. They break cars. Have we seen that? Yeah? Or they go doing even bad stuff. We have seen people murdering people because something has happened. That's not a very good way of dealing with things. And sometimes they end up even in more problems. They end up in jail. We have seen that, don't we? We have seen people who have become alcoholics, haven't we? So all these things are the things that when stuff happens to us, we are not dealing with that in the right way. Because in life, as we have said, stuff happens. And pain is part of life. Would you agree with me? Pain is part of life, but suffering is an option. And most of us, or most people, they are living in suffering because they are suppressing all those emotions. They're not dealing with them. They are not letting it out. I remember there's a nurse here who said that when she came here, she couldn't believe that somebody is actually talking about their diagnosis. Do you know even right now in our culture or in our community, there are people who've been diagnosed with some illnesses and actually they don't tell anyone and they stay with it. They're suffering on their own. So that means they don't even get a support system. They are suffering on their own. They're, on top of a physical pain, they're adding other mental issues. Have you seen it, or am I the one who have observed what happens in our community? Yeah? Our communities, we also know the stuff that sometimes we do. We put things under the carpet. That one is not going to go out. Without knowing that, even when we do that kind of things, we are kind of traumatizing our kids, we are traumatizing ourselves, and in the future, I do mental health. I've done mental health, and I love mental health because I have learned that if things are not working here, then it's not going to work anywhere. And some of the times that we walk around with traumas, but we have never really even ever addressed them. And those are the things that when you see things like cancer, even though as more as people say that it's a lifestyle disease, most of it sometimes is about the emotions that we suppress and we don't talk about. Am I talking sense? Yeah? So for me, stuff happened, as you've heard. One morning, everything was working so well for me. I'm a mother of 2 young boys. Single, I brought them okay. I was doing very well in my career. And my firstborn was in year 3 in university doing IT. But one morning, everything changed for me. I had that call from my son, who told me, Mom, I've just been to the doctor, and they suspect leukemia. What? Leukemia? I knew about leukemia, and I knew it was a cancer, but I always thought it happens to others. You know, when you hear stories, the stuff are happening there, or this happened to that family, but you always talk about it because you never think that it could happen to you. But for this particular time, it happened to me. Let me tell you, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to feel. How do you feel? I was told that with leukemia, there is a chance of him being treated, and yes, the prognosis is like this, you know, but they said he would require a stem cell donor, or with what we used to call it bone marrow donation. And that was good news. But what was very much devastating was when they came back and said, unfortunately, we could not, or we can't get a donor for your son. I didn't know. This is something that was completely new. And again, I didn't know what to do. My son was devastated. But the next thing we had to do was to look for a donor within the BM community. And as you heard my friend say, we tried as a Kenyan community, and I saw love. Because I remember within 2 hours, we had registered 500 people. Unfortunately, it was a little too late. He couldn't get a donor. They tried his brother's stem cells, which was half match. They had already warned us half match. Chances of that working was difficult. And so in 2014, I lost my son. He was only 24 years old. And for me, I can tell you the journey of my 2 years. I've written it in my book. It was a very painful situation. It's a situation I would never wish on anybody as a mother. When you look at your child, a charismatic young man, going through the phases, loss of hair, all this, name it. And let me tell you, I'm a mental health nurse, but after seeing all what I was seeing, I saw the symptoms, I knew what they were, but even as a mental health nurse, I could not stop it. I was depressed. And I went to the GP. And the GP told me, we're going to give you some antidepressants. And for me, I know what depressants are. Every day I'm talking to psychiatrists about prescribing patients antidepressants. So I know what they are, I know their side effects and all that. But I went home and I thought, do I need antidepressants? What would they really do? You know, I had to ask myself that question because at that point, in that minute, what I needed, what I wanted, was my son to get better. I wanted things to come back to normal. But things were not normal. Let me tell you, I dreaded going to bed at night. I always never wanted to sleep, because if I sleep, I will dream that things are normal. But then when I wake up, the truth of the whole thing would hit me so hard that for some time, I'll just stay under the duvet. Because the enormity of my son is in hospital, the uncertainty of everything, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know whether we are coming or going. And I remember very well that I used to walk like a zombie. And I know people used to tell me you're very strong, but what they didn't know is inside of me, I felt like I had these broken glasses. And when I walk, it's like they're hitting each other. I used to look around people and and I'm thinking, will things ever come back to normal? Will I ever laugh again? But as they say, when I thought about antidepressants, I decided that that's not the route I want to take, because I think antidepressants are not going to give me my son back. But I had to sit back. As you heard, I'm also a dialectical behavior therapist. For those who have never heard about dialectical behavior therapists, we deal with people with complex mental health, with personality disorders. And I thought, if my client came to me with the same problem that I have right now, what would I tell them? How would I help them? And in that one instant, I thought one of the skills that I'll be able to teach or to tell them to use is something called radical acceptance. What is radical acceptance? It is accepting the reality of the situation in the present moment without judging or without wanting to change it. Did that make sense? The acceptance is really accepting the reality of what is without judging and without wanting to change anything. Because remember, the reason we suffer is because we want to change things that we cannot be able to change. As human beings, we have limitations. Would you agree with me? And with those limitations, sometimes as human beings, we want outcomes. We want things to work this way. We want our husbands to behave this way. We want our child to behave this way. But is that what happens? So there are things in life we can change, and there are those things in life that we cannot change. And I think the last speaker said something like that. There are things we have control, and there are things we do not have control about. And that's how I looked at my whole situation. Believe me, if I had the magic word to heal my son, I would have. I could have gone to the end of the planet to find a cure for my son. And we did the best. But in this instant, I had to accept the reality of what was happening. And accepting reality does not mean that it is fair, what is happening. It does not mean that it's not painful. It just means that you are accepting what is. And you're breathing it in and saying it is what it is. It's the reality of what it is. And we find that very difficult. And that's the skill I would also want you to use. Instead of running away from stuff, instead of hitting your chest, instead of hiding your head under the sand, it is about facing those kind of painful moments, painful things, and looking at what is the reality. What can I change here? Can I change this? No. Then, in that case, I have to accept it. Can I change this? Yes, I can change it. When that's something you know you can change it, go ahead and start doing something about it. Because remember, there are issues we know we can do something about it, but we don't want to do anything about it. I am a therapist, and I can tell you the things that they bring to me in terms of in toxic relationships, or things are happening out, but people are not making decisions, so they're suffering within that. Does that make sense? So acceptance is a very great skill. and I've written a book about it. But the most important thing is that for Kevin Kararwa Leukemia Trust, my pain and the issue we encountered is the same thing that inspired me to start Kevin Kararwa Leukemia Trust. It's a charity. We educate and create awareness about stem cell donation, and we encourage people from the Black community to register to become potential stem cell donors. It doesn't take long. It takes 5 minutes to fill a form, do a mouth swab, and that's it. We send the swabs, and then it is put in a register, is given a code. All it says, all it means is that you have agreed to become a potential. Say potential. Potential does not mean that you're donating. It means you are saying, if ever anybody matched you, you'll be willing to donate. Now, the reason we teach people is because when people hear about bone marrow donation, they think that, you know, they're gonna cut your bones. But that's not the case. Stem cell donation nowadays is so easy, it's a very easy process, it's just like giving blood. The only difference is, it takes about 4 hours. Yeah? So when you say when you put your name forward like you would want to donate and you're given your swab, it might take probably 5, 6 years or 2 years to be called, you know, to match. You might never match anyone. But if you match someone, they'll call you, they'll ask you, would you signed up on this and this year, on this and this date in this year, we still have your details, you have matched someone, would you like to donate? When you say yes, the next thing they do a full medical, and if you're still in good health, that's when they take the donation. And all they do, they take blood from this arm, they put it through a machine, they separate the platelets, the red blood cells and all that, and then they take the white cells, and everything else comes back on this arm, and then the rest, which they call the stem cells. But what they do 4 days before you donate, they give you some injections to increase your white blood cells, which they call the stem cells. So really, they're not getting anything away from you, because within 4 days, you have already increased those cells. And that's what they take. And then they go and take to the patient, and they save a life. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah? So saving a life is so easy. And before I sit down, I'll say what my colleague said here. As Black people, we complain. We complain that people are racist to us, or we are discriminated and all that. But I think we discriminate against ourselves, because this problem is our problem. Because if you're Caucasian, if you're Caucasian and you're diagnosed with leukemia, you got between 67 and 97% of getting a donor. But if you're Black and you're unfortunate to get leukemia, you get less than 2% of getting a donor. Now, even if they wanted to help us, they can't, because this is about us going out there and registering ourselves and becoming potential stem cell donors, so that if your sister, child, son, brother, or mother get leukemia, they can readily get a donor. But we don't do that. And I can tell you, I've been doing this 10 years. And I can spend half an hour to a Black person explaining the process, and they'll tell you, oh, I'm going to think about it. You talk to a Caucasian, they tell you, bring the form. There's a very big difference between how we respond to these things and how we do these things. And it breaks my heart, because remember, 10 years ago, I only needed one person. Just one person. Just one. And who knows, my son could be alive today. So I would ask you, if you're here, and if you're not registered to become a stem cell donor, today we'll have a table, we have forms. Don't go home before you put your name on that, and you could save a life. KKLT, we say, anyone can be a hero. So thank you so much for listening to me.
Wow. I made it through, but I don't know how I did it. I made it through, but I don't know how I did it. One thing I know, Jehovah took it over. That is how I made it through. Give it up for her. Wow. You know, when she was talking about we've all heard about mental health at work. You can imagine she's working with all that. What was she taking to her workplace? And there comes a time whereby you have to prioritize your mental health. I'll give an example. A colleague some time ago in class, and you know, if you watched the Adolescents, have you watched Adolescents? The new documentary about young people? If you watch that one, you know how difficult it is in schools nowadays. And sometimes with our culture, we know that if you tell students, sit down, they will sit down, do what you're doing. But here they will ask you, why? And when you get to a point whereby you can't explain, you're telling them to sit down to do something, they refuse. And like my sister Wendy there, this colleague just started praying, oh dear Jesus, I want to pray for these people. If it's a school, what do you think would happen to that person? Are they going to keep their license if they're a nurse? Are they going to keep their license if they are teachers? Straight up out of your careers. So as much as we're dealing with our mental health, we need to understand what is our coping mechanism. How do I let the heat off? And sometimes some people have a colleague who will say, I just go to the toilet and just cry and let it go. And then I can go and then address it professionally because I already let it go. So some of these things about mental health has to be, again, the key word, very intentional. You got to ask yourself, what puts me off? What drives me mad? And how do I deal with that? Because no one else can deal that for you. You got to do it yourself. Now, we are even later on today, we are expecting the Mayor of Reading to be joining us today. So the event today, I'm just feeling there's a lot of learning and there's a lot of appreciation as well from different companies who are here today, just showing that we do need this association and we do need this networking. The next person is Fatma Rajab. She's currently working as a lead nurse at Imperial College NHS Trust. With over 20 years of extensive nursing experience, she has worked in several NHS trusts in the UK. Her educational background is impressive with qualification, including a master's and postgraduate certificate in advanced nurse practice and an executive MBA in health service management, along with various other certifications. In recognition in her outstanding work, she was awarded the 2024 King's College NHS Hospital Trust Inclusion Award. For advancing faith and spirituality, Fatma is particularly interested in the subject matters of global health, sustainability, green nephrology, health inequalities, and kidney health. Give it up again for a sister, well-rising Fatma.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Here. I hope I'll be able to do this speech justice. I've got to read it from my mobile, so please bear with me. Okay. So this is Ministry of Health, Office of the Director of Nursing and Midwifery Services. Honorable guests, distinguished members of the UK Kenya Association, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and gratitude that I stand here before you today as the Director of Nursing and Midwifery Services in Kenya. I extend my warm greetings from our great nation and bring you messages of collaboration, commitment, and shared progress in the field of healthcare. Today, we come together under the inspiring theme, Inspiring and Empowering Self-Growth. This theme resonates deeply within our profession. As self-growth is the foundation upon which we build excellence, resilience, and leadership in nursing and midwifery. Kenya and the United Kingdom share a long history of partnership, cultural ties, and professional collaboration. Many of our esteemed nurses and midwives have trained in the UK, gaining invaluable experience that continues to shape and enhance healthcare delivery back at home. Today we celebrate the remarkable contributions of the Kenyan diaspora in the UK, particularly in the healthcare sector, where you have played an integral role in supporting both nations. Therefore, this gathering is a powerful testament to the strong ties that bind the UK and Kenya in our shared mission to enhance healthcare through nursing and midwifery. As healthcare professionals, we are at the heart of patient care, advocacy, and service delivery. We navigate an ever-evolving landscape of medical advancement, policy shifts, and community health needs. In this dynamic environment, personal and professional growth is not just an option, it is a necessity. It empowers us to provide exceptional care, adapt to emerging challenges, and inspire those who follow in our footsteps. Ladies and gentlemen, the power of continuous learning is paramount. Self-growth begins with continuous learning, whether through formal education, mentorship, or experiential knowledge. Our willingness to learn defines our ability to lead. The landscape of healthcare is ever-changing. Advances in technology, new medical research, and evolving patient needs demand that we remain in the cutting edge of our practice. I urge each one of us to embrace lifelong learning, whether through formal education, certifications, or peer-led knowledge exchange. In this digital age, opportunities for virtual learning and collaboration between the UK and Kenya are abundant, and I encourage us all to tap into these resources. As healthcare professionals, we're heart of the patient care, advocacy, and service delivery. We navigate an ever-evolving landscape of medical advancements, policy shifts, and community health needs. In this dynamic environment, personal and professional growth is not just an option, it is a necessity. It empowers us to provide exceptional care, adapt to emerging challenges, and inspire those who follow in our footsteps. Ladies and gentlemen, the power of continuous learning is paramount. Self-growth begins with continuous learning. In Kenya, nursing and midwifery has played a pivotal role in advancing universal health coverage, UHC, with transformational leadership at its core. Similarly, in the UK, nurses and midwives are leading in specialized care, research, and policy development. By sharing knowledge and experiences, we can foster growth that transcends borders, enriching both our healthcare systems and our personal journeys. Building resilience and well-being is critical in our profession. The journey of self-growth is not without challenges. We face demanding schedules, emotional strain, and the high expectations of our profession. Therefore, self-care must be a priority. Let us cultivate resilience by embracing mindfulness, seeking peer support, and advocating for healthy work environments. Empowered caregivers are those who prioritize their own well-being alongside the well-being of their patients. Ladies and gentlemen, mentorship and networking is the order of the day. No one achieves success alone. We grow by learning from those who have walked the path before us and by guiding those who come after us. Mentorship is a two-way street. Both mentor and mentee benefit from shared knowledge and experiences. Let this forum serve as a platform for building meaningful connections that will inspire and support us collectively professional journeys. Embracing innovation and global collaboration in a fundamental guide during our practice. This world is more interconnected than ever, and global partnership presents immense opportunities for shared learning and innovation. UK-Kenya collaboration in nursing and midwifery can drive transformative changes in healthcare delivery, research, and policy development. Let us leverage technology, cross-border exchange programs, and research initiatives to advance our collective impact. As a challenge, ladies and gentlemen, in Kenya, we are at a critical juncture where the contribution of each and every one of us is necessary to transform the future of our profession and healthcare in large. Kenya faces scarcity of resources to train, develop policy, document, and implement them. As a call of action, I invite you to be part of this journey, whether through mentorship, funding, training, or advocacy. I invite you to be part of this journey. Your role is invaluable. Let us build a resilient and empowered nursing and midwifery workforce that will drive Kenya towards achieving universal health coverage. At this juncture, therefore, the Ministry of Health, Kenya, calls for continued collaboration and partnership between Kenya and the UK to improve healthcare outcomes for all. Thank you, and I look forward to an enriching exchange of ideas and inspirational throughout this meeting. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. That is Fatma. And we are keeping on getting inspired. There's a lot, but I would like us to stand a little bit because with all we've had all these, you know, Kenya is pivotal before you stand up. Kenya is pivotal. You've seen around the world. If you go to the United States, the nurses there that are saying what to say are the Kenyans. The training we get in Kenya is amazing. In the United Kingdom, there's so many Kenyan nurses and midwives and even doctors. And if you go to Germany, when we do Face of Kenya, we go to Germany, and most of our networks are the nurses there. In healthcare, Kenyans, we are amazing. And we have to give ourselves a high five for that resilience, our professionalism, and of course, our Zimbabwean brothers and sisters. So, can we stand up for just one bit of shake it a little bit? Are you feeling like shaking? Yes, we need to shake a little bit. So we are the world. So if you want to hold hands, You want to sing to it? And DJ, come on. When you go to the hospitals, the families are depending on you. Sometimes it's the one word you tell the families or the patient that is going to calm them down. So we really have a big job to do, and we appreciate that today has been a day that has been created that first and foremost feel proud of what you do. Be proud. Because when I walk to a NHS, sometimes you go to emergency and you're like, how do you even keep it up? Everybody's going up and down. Someone is on the floor. Someone is bleeding. One person has passed on and you have to deal with another. How do you do it? You do need your mental health, and that is what I said earlier on, that priority, your mental health. When you're in a good mental health, you'll be able to deliver very well, right? We appreciate at this moment in time that we do have the The program going on very well. We have a few sponsors because an event like this doesn't happen without the support of sponsors. And I would like, before the next speaker, to have maybe a little bit of a word from one of the sponsors, Mr. George Washiori Optivin. Have you got the video? There's a few more speeches we're having at dinner later on. And we appreciate the presence of the Mayor of Reading. Wow. It means a lot to the Kenya Nurses and Midwives Association for your presence here today. And it says clearly that the Reading Borough do really appreciate the work they do and what they deliver to the community here. And the leadership appreciating that means many people will go back to their homes today very well inspired. Thank you very much. Now, maybe before we get the sponsors ready, I'm going to be requesting Bernice at this moment in time to have one word of appreciating some of these sponsors.
Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, 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 what a day. I've got loads and loads of nuggets to take home. I feel like I'm a new band 5. I feel like 20 years younger. I'll not tell you when I started my nursing, but you know those nuggets that I needed to get me to where I am. And I just feel like I'm getting to the next level. I feel those nuggets is what I need to take home for me to get to the next level. And Jay, I'll be standing in the higher bands when you come next year. This time next year. Promise I'll be one more up. Because of, and we'll have some food, definitely. So, wow. Are we feeling fed? Yeah? Are we getting on well? Good stuff. That's what we want to hear. So, really good stuff. We've got plenty of tea and coffee outside. Please keep having tea, coffee, biscuits. If they run out, let us know. We're entitled to them up until midnight. The dinner will be served after the speakers because we want to have energy for the evening dance. Because this place we are going to dance it down until midnight. If you've not registered your car, please register at the registration at the entrance. Because if you don't register it, you're going to get a parking ticket. It's free parking, but you just need to register your car. We appreciate Dennis, our Mayor of Reading, for honoring our event and for the support from Reading Borough Council. Thank you. And we appreciate all the speakers that have been speaking this morning, but it's not time for me to go through them now because we still have a lot to do.
It's not time for you to go through that now, but Bernice, let me ask you a very quick question. I like to put people on the spot. Isn't that good? Bernice, tell us about why you decided to start this initiative, the Kenya Nursing and Midwifery Association, because we need to hear that from you.
Wow. Thank you for that question. I wasn't prepared. You brought me here for a reason. You didn't tell me. So I wasn't prepared for this question. But the reason I decided to bring the nurses and midwives together in this country is because when I came here many years ago, which I'm not going to tell you, we were very few. The organization I worked for, we were only 4 black nurses, and we would get excited when we saw one another. And we got called each other's names. They wouldn't tell the difference between us. But I don't blame them, because I also have a problem of telling the difference between them. So it's two-way. I don't see the similarity between me and most of you here, but they see it, but I also see the similarity. So it's two ways. The reason that I felt that we needed to come together, we've had all very different journeys. I have been fortunate enough. My journey has not been as rough, but I've had stories of journeys that have been rough. And people have been in isolation for a long time and not coming together. So I thought if we come together as a community, support one another, get told what I didn't get told 20 years ago so we can move on. We've had our Deputy Chief Nurse, Mercy Wasike. She's just had to go back. We've got another Deputy Chief Nurse, Richard Mwangi, who have had the privilege to work with. And we've got a Chief Nurse from Kenya. So it is possible. And we are, like I said this morning, we are here to thrive not to survive. So we need to get out of the comfort zone of band 5s, and we need to claim these places. We've got a chief nurse here from Zimbabwe, which we believed Zimbabwe didn't have food. So if he starved and came to UK and become a chief nurse, you people that have been eating a lot of food, huh? Cinema CEO, huh? So that is why we are here. Support one another, be each other's sponsor. So really grateful for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give it up for Bernice. She will be back. She will be back because it's very important for us to give her the honor of the chairperson of the Kenya Nurses and Midwifery Association. She's behind the scenes. She has done a lot of work to make this event a success. And we clap for her again. It required a lot of financial support, so I'm going to just give 2 minutes to the sponsor, just so they can just tell us a little bit about what they are bringing. There's Kangem Water. Kangem Water, yeah. 2 minutes to the sponsor so they can just introduce. Thank you very much. And keep getting hydrated. There's water on the table. Of course.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam Host. How's everyone? Good, good, good. It's a privilege and honor to be invited as one of the sponsors of this event. My name is Mary. I am a Filipino, so you can see. Surprisingly, I am a nurse as well. And when Jay was asking, you know, those people to stand with years of experience, and I was standing there, and he's asking, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, beyond 20 years, I was still standing there. Because I've been a qualified nurse since 1994 back in the Philippines. Yeah. And when one of the speakers says, what's your challenge? You know, having your degree from a different country and coming here in the UK. While I'm waiting for my slides, I wanted to share with you one thing, which is my challenge, but I was laughing. When I came here in 2004, I used to work in a nursing home. And then one of my supervisor, you know, asked me, can you go to the patient's room and get some Snickers? And I said, what's Snickers? I know it sounds like a chocolate bar, but it's a Snickers. So it's a challenge. Anyway, just a second. I guess, Madam Host, I will be extending 2 minutes. Is that okay? I wanted to deliver the best information I can have. So as what I've mentioned, my name is Mary. I'm with my husband. We have a table there at the back. So I've been a registered nurse for 30 years. So I used to work in the NHS, and then I also do private, extra job in the nursing home. So that is where I started. And one of the reason why I came here, I had a good job back in the Philippines, but the reason I came here, it's because education back home is very expensive. And that time my children was young. I have 2 kids. So I know that when they started uni, I cannot afford. So I came here to search for a greener pasture and work, with all my heart in the British soil. but ended up doing a business with a Japanese company. So that's my journey, guys. But apart from working as a nurse, I also have dreamed, to help young kids back in the Philippines to build a school. Because I myself, were not that privileged. If it's not because of scholarship, I did not finish my nursing degree. So I've seen a lot of children back in the Philippines who's got potential. And working here as a nurse, I cannot build that dream to build the school. So I have to do something. That's why I was looking for some, opportunity to earn extra money. But working as a nurse, can you build a school? No, even how much you work. And I remember before coming in the UK, I think I can earn, and save. But to be honest, money is only enough for the bills, right? So I started to embrace opportunity. I decided to, this opportunity was introduced to me in 2014. And I started to do it part-time on the top of my job. So today, this afternoon, I'm not sharing with you, my journey as a nurse, but I will share with you my journey as an entrepreneur. So from 2016, I decided to also do this full-time. And the product that I will be sharing with you is a product made from Japan. This is something about delivering healthy water to every household in the world. Before I will start, guys, does any one of you here who drinks water? Raise your hand. Or do you know anybody who don't drink water? No? Because water is life. Water is the foundation. So that's me. I am an orthopedic spine scrub. My specialty is back operation. That was when I was working in the hospital. I love my job, don't get me wrong. I love my job as a nurse. Now, this is just a little disclaimer. So any information that I will be sharing with you today, this is not intended to heal, to treat, to cure. This is not a replacement to any medical treatment. And we also offer opportunities. So for those of you nurses, everyone here, if you are also looking for something as a side hustle, please approach us because we also wanted to share, the amazing opportunity with you. But participating in the business side, involves risk and dedication as well. This is the product that we are about to introduce to you guys. The product is at the back. This is a Japanese technology that has been delivering healthy water to everyone all over the world. So water now is the problem. A lot of us, here, I can see that some of you probably are not drinking from the tap. Anyone here who's buying bottled water all your life? Yeah? So you're buying bottled water. Now, the problem with the bottled water is the plastic. Why we cannot drink from the tap? I'm not saying tap water in the UK is okay, but all over the world, generally, we know that our water is contaminated. So a lot of people are using filtration system. A lot of people are spending money to the bottled water. But if you're drinking in a bottled water, you are not just drinking contaminated with plastic, but at the same time, you're spending so much money and we are also poisoning the environment. So this Japanese company developed a technology that they have been using it for 50 plus years in Japan. Actually, this is not an ordinary machine. The Ministry of Health and Welfare in Japan classified this as a certified medical device. We have ISO certification, and the company now deliver this product all over the world. So as health professional, even you are not health professional, we know that our body is only made up of water. Sorry, guys. So our body is only made up of water. Your lungs, your skin, your blood, is only made up of water. So if we know by heart that we are only made up of water, we need to consider quality water that we are putting in our body. Now, would you agree with me that God created our body as unique? Do you agree? Right. But every day we're putting rubbish into our body. stress, okay? So if God created our body unique, our body can heal on its own. But if we are putting rubbish in our body every day and we're not doing anything to flush that out, you know, sometimes most of us are getting, you know, sicker and sicker and sicker. So according to research, the reason why we are sick because we are dehydrated. Then the toxins will build up, our body becomes acidic, and then oxidize. So oxidation is the root cause of a lot of problem. And if our choices matters. So if we are buying bottled water, we are also poisoning the environment. So it is our obligation as a human being, not just for ourselves, but at the same time to protect the environment so that our next generation will also enjoy that. So this company's mission is to help, you know, every household to stop spending your money on bottled water. Drink the best, healthiest water because you all deserve it. You know, we work so hard, you know. I am a Filipino. I left my country. I left my family because we wanted to have a good life. You're Kenyan. You have a beautiful place. I've never been to Kenya, but I know you have a beautiful place in Kenya. Why we are all here? Because we wanted to have a better life. But always remember that the only capital we have is our health. That's all. What about all these dreams and plans, big houses, a lot of money if your health is failing? So we should understand that the only capital we have is our health. So if you wanted to invest in your health first. And having a quality water is the best way to do that. This technology at the back, you can see it, you can taste the water, will transform your tap water, will take all the impurities, the chlorine, the bacteria, rust, lead, contamination, and change your water into 6 life-changing water. So you have no chlorine, no bacteria water for your babies. The machine can produce ionized, alkalized water that will flush out day by day the toxins in our system. So if you can afford to buy bottled water for how many years now and how many more years you can afford to invest into this machine, the good thing with this machine, guys, is you can carry this whichever part of the world you will go. If you go home to Kenya, you can bring the machine with you. If you move to America, Canada, whichever part of the world, you can carry the machine with you. And also there is beauty water. Beauty water will look after your skin, hair, you know, and you stop buying moisturizer, toner, because this is a, you know, cheaper way, and then water that will cleanse your food. So everything that you need is produced by this machine. If you want to try the water, we have the water available at the back, produced by our machine. It's free today. You know, so you can, you know, you can try that. But all in all, this is the amazing benefit that you will enjoy. For all your life, you, your children, the next of your generation will be enjoying the best, healthiest water. Your only maintenance is to change the filter once a year. And this is a Japanese technology, guys, for 50 plus years. And this is your overall, you know, benefits. So if you are already spending your money here, why not invest in the machine? You can enjoy the best, healthiest water all your life. So water now will be the next, you know, problem in the whole world. So for those of you who are looking for opportunity, this is the best, you know, the next $1 trillion business in the whole world. So anybody who owns the machine, you will have an option to also join, like me, the program to be an independent franchise owner. It's no charge. There's no additional payment for that. You can market this product in 244 countries all over the world. These are all the products that we have. We also have anti-radiation. So now I'm using my laptop. We are all using our phones. We are exposed to radiation. You know, we can see what contaminated water, we will not drink that. We can see, you know, pollution, air pollution, we can stay away from that. But the number one silent killer at the moment is radiation. Do you agree? This is our life before. This is what's going on now. You know, we are exposed to all of that. If you, at the moment, we cannot see the radiation inside this room, but if you can see, you will step outside this room. You know, so for those of you guys, it's so scary. Now, this doctor here, even the World Health Organization, you know, they said that electromagnetic field radio frequency is classified as carcinogenic, and that causes a lot of problem, especially cancer. So, you know, if you want to see, we have it at the back, guys. We can test all your gadgets, and that's how it will improve you. So this is our company, and we are also looking for independent distributors who wanted to participate in the business. To close with, guys, so I just wanted you to see the map. This is the map 2 years ago, in 2022. So if you can see Kenya, how many millions of people in Kenya? At the moment, there's only 400 plus household in Kenya who knows this product. So it's your opportunity to help, you know, the whole of, not just in Kenya, but 244 countries all over the world, to make a difference by simply sharing to them the amazing water. So come and join. We encourage everyone to join our community. If you want more information with the global franchise, if you wanted to own one, like, you know, what we have, please approach us at the back. Today, our global ambassador with, you know, part of your community is Nikki. So we are supporting Nikki. So thank you so much for this amazing opportunity, guys. And please try our water. Approach us later, and we wanted you to feel the difference. Thank you. Madam Host.
Thank you so much, and I apologize. The time is well spent, and that is why we're saying we have to rush now a bit. But the next session, the next speaker, we cannot rush because it's important for us to hear the message. And all protocols observed, I'm going to be asking Councillor Elizabeth B.K. Nkere to welcome our mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I was here earlier on. For those of you who don't know my name, I'm Councillor Dr. Elizabeth. I'm an elected councillor in the London Borough of Barking and Dagenham for the last 14 years, a past mayor, and currently serving as the cabinet member for education, attainment, and schools improvement. My 1 minute, I'll keep to that because I've been a teacher for over 20 years, and I know what it means. I think we are the only two people who are not in that profession, but we have no regrets because you need a teacher to be a nurse. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Right. I've just been given the honor of inviting my colleague. I said I've been a mayor, and so I know what it means. And if I was a mayor in Kenya, you wouldn't be seeing me here anyway. But here we are humble. We do just what we are called to do. Please, with a standing ovation, let's welcome my colleague, Councillor Dennis. His Worship the Mayor of Reading, please, with a clap offering, please. Let's welcome him. We are very, very busy people. Thank you very much. Jay, with no food. We are very, very busy people. Anyway, for him to agree to come and join you, it's a really honor to have you here. And we don't take this for granted. And I'm really happy to have you. He was elected the same time as me, 2010. Same party, I'm not saying which one, guess, because we are leading today. Anyway, over to you and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Well, I was invited here by a friend, and yeah, that I've known since I've sort of come to Reading, and I've worked with her and Cicely and with James, her husband, when I got involved in the in ACRE, yeah. So that's really good. And when I was deputy mayor, actually, I was invited to a Kenyan event. It was not in borough, but I went along as deputy mayor at that time, and yeah, I enjoyed it very much. And also in Palmer Park, didn't we do something there? Didn't we have some traditional Kenyan dancing and that's at the Maasai. That's right. I'm sorry, my. Anyway, let me get to the speech. I don't want to take up too much time here. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and members of the Kenyan Nurses and Midwives Association UK. It's a pleasure to be here in Reading for this year's Kenyan Nurses and Midwives Conference. Thank you for choosing our town for this important gathering. Reading is a diverse and thriving town, home to a significant Kenyan community that plays an essential role in many sectors, including healthcare. At the Royal Berkshire Hospital, we see firsthand the dedication and professionalism of Kenyan nurses and midwives who provide outstanding care to patients every day. Your contribution are invaluable, ensuring that our local healthcare services remain strong and compassionate. This year's theme, Inspiring and Empowering Self-Growth, perfectly reflects your profession. As nurses and midwives, you are not just caregivers, you are mentors, leaders, and advocates for excellence in healthcare. Your ongoing commitment to learning and growth benefits both your profession and the communities you serve. The Kenyan Nurses and Midwives Association UK plays a crucial role in supporting its members, offering mentorship and opportunities for development. Your impact extends beyond the Kenyan community, strengthening the entire UK healthcare system. As Mayor of Reading, I thank you for your dedication and the difference you make every day. I hope today's conference inspires and empowers you in your journey. Enjoy the event, and once again, welcome to Reading.
Thank you very much. We are humbled and honored by your presence here today. And as we keep going on with the program, I know a lot of us are feeling hungry already. Food is getting ready. There's still tea and some chocolate outside. You can get yourself that. I'm going to be calling Claire Livingstone for RCN. She's going to be speaking to us. And again today, remember to put the nuggets down. Put the nuggets down. Write it down. And do the networking as well. So we'll have a networking session after this. Claire Livingstone. Give it up for Claire.
Thank you. It is a great honour for me to be here today and to be following so many esteemed and inspirational speakers. It's been a wonderful day so far. Thank you. I wanted to just start with a very brief personal story, which is that my late father would have been extremely pleased to see me here because he lived in Kenya for 5 years in the 1960s. And he was a teacher, and he used to regale plenty of really fun and interesting stories, and he held Kenya as a country and people in great affection. So thank you, and it really means a lot for me to be here today. I'm just going to talk very briefly, as I know there's others to follow me, about the Royal College of Midwives. We've put some materials around your tables, which I hope you'll find interesting and useful. But just to explain really about the Royal College of Midwives and what we do, we're a professional organisation and a trade union. We've been around for over 100 years, providing professional services and support and education to midwives and maternity support workers. And many other training resources, guidance, professional guidance, which is on all sorts of areas, including birth outside guidance and home births, public health, vaccination, all sorts of areas that are relevant to your practice. As a trade union, we offer representation. We would accompany you to meetings with managers. I know that that's been discussed this morning already. Support with statement writing, and obviously national negotiations. We as a trade union are there at government level, influencing on important areas such as pay and terms and conditions, which are so vital to our professions. We have an annual conference. As a member, you're able to attend this free. So I hope that some of you, we've put some application forms around the table, so if it's relevant to you as a midwife, please do join us, and we'd love to see you at our annual conference, which is being held in Birmingham this year. There are other members' benefits as well, which include free legal advice and independent financial advice. You can have a session with an accountant who will look at your pensions and your investments and give you advice on that. We have personal injury insurance that members can benefit from, a free will writing service, and also it's worth remembering that your fees that you pay to the RCM can be offset by HMRC, which provide an allowance for professional subscriptions. So if you were to inform HMRC that you've joined the RCM, they will alter your tax code to reflect that. So actually it's kind of it's a cost neutral thing to do. It's so important. It's an opportunity for you to network. We are organised with local branches all around the country. So wherever you're working, your hospital will have a branch which you can then join, engage with meetings and events and help organise, and even stand for positions. So you could put yourself forward as a steward or a learning rep or as a secretary or even chair of the branch. It's a fantastic way to get involved and to develop your career. It really does. It offers a real pathway for progression. I'm a midwife by background, and I can tell you it's one of the best things I ever did was to become involved in the RCM. We've got a strong tradition of campaigning on lots and lots of different issues, but one of those issues at the moment we're really emphasising is around health inequalities. And that's something that Wendy spoke about this morning, are the appalling differences in outcomes for black women. And we have some new resources that we've recently published around decolonisation, which is something that we feel very strongly about. We know that education and practice strongly reflect some of the sort of colonial traditions and past which are not helpful at all. So, for example, I don't know if any of you will be aware of APGAR scores, for example. And when a newborn baby is assessed, one of the things that we assess a newborn baby on is the colour of the baby's skin. And the options that you are given is that the baby is white or that it's pink. Well, that's not the case, is it, for babies of colour? So how can that give us an accurate picture? So this is something the RCM is really vigorously campaigning on. And, we really hope that you'll join us and become part of our movement for making change, and change that's badly needed. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Now, I think we are having most of us, I see a lot of young nurses and midwives here. Most people have done 5 years and below, and even though we're talking about them, self-development is for everybody. Whether we are talking about those who are in leadership position, those who are starting into their career, development is a must. And we go back to the presenters of this morning who've talked at length about what you need to do for yourself. I'll repeat the question to you. What does success mean to you? At the end of this all, in the next 5 years, how would you feel like you've succeeded in your career? What would you have done? We have a presentation by, it's an online presentation. Are we ready with that? We have Dr. Felicia Kwaku, the presentation online. But before that, the DJ can probably put us a song that we can. Oh, have I got the bio? I didn't see it. Personal development. Usually it looks like such a big word, personal development. Sometimes you think it's for other people. Because I know when I look at my work day, my timetable, what I have to do, and I'm like, I don't have enough time. How many hours do you have in a day? Jay, I know you're thinking about food right now, but yeah. The 24 hours you have in a day, you've got to include something for your personal development. Sometimes it's just watching a TED Talk on something that will inspire you. We have Felicia has been an Associate Director of Nursing since 2017 at King's College Hospital NHS Foundation Trust and is the immediate past chair of the Chief Nursing Officer and Chief Midwifery Officer, Black Minority Ethnic Strategy Advisor Group, NHS England. She has over 34 years nursing experience, specialized in general intensive care, cardiac nurses, trained at a University College London hospital. Felicia has held various roles, e.g. research nurse, practice educator, lecturer practitioner. She has been a senior nurse, including director nursing for several years. Felicia always has a passion for clinical practice, ensuring that patients as well as staff are at the center of our care. Felicia works collaboratively with external stakeholders and sits on several national committees. By the way, that bit about putting yourself forward for the committees and being seen on the tables and being able to volunteer to be part of the team is absolutely important for your career growth. Absolutely. So I am glad that the next speaker is on that. And Prevention of Nursing and Midwifery Suicide Oversight Group, NHS England. Save a Heart Nigeria Foundation. She's in a lot of charities. Felicia was awarded an OBE for services to nursing during the COVID-19 pandemic on 9th of October 2020 in Queen Elizabeth Birthday Honours List. She's at 2023 International Council of Nursing. Felicia received the Chief Nursing Officer Gold Award on 24th July 2024 from Dame Ruth May, which is the highest nursing honor for outstanding achievement and performance. Can we clap for her? Although she's presenting online, she's present online, the idea is personal development. We've talked about CPD this morning. Before we get there, I would like to, one person to just say, what have you picked so far from this conference? Anybody who's able to give me just a sentence, what have you picked so far from this conference? Some of them are already very well learned and hungry. Let me hear from, what have you picked? I know you presented, Mr. J, you presented, but what have you picked that will stay with you?
You've got jokes, right? I think the most important thing for me today is picking up on everyone has got a different journey and that we could learn from each other. So it's not unidirectional, it's very, very multi-directional. So I'm really looking forward to the networking later on because I will learn a lot more just from listening to people's real life stories and real life experiences of working within health and social care, and that will make me a better leader as a result.
Thank you very much. You did ask a question earlier on. Are you feeling like you're finding answers to your question today?
Yeah, I feel I'm finding answers to my questions today. I need to take my development personally, and I need to work on my flaws and know how to walk forward.
Fantastic. Take your development personally. No one else is going to do it for you. I think she's ready. Felicia is ready for the presentation. Are we good to go with the sound? But we can't hear her.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right. Let me take off my earphones. It might be a bit better. Right. Is this better? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. Can anyone do my slides for me, please?
I'm just thinking, Felicia, if you've got the slides, I don't know whether you can share the slides and see where the...
I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone, so I can't do them.
So what I was thinking, Felicia, because I'm not sure we can see the slides and see you, because I've got the slides I can share with the audience. If you've got the slides in front of you, talk us through the slides.
Yes. Okay then. Yep. Okay. You don't want, but there's things to show on the slides. I'll try one thing. I'll try one more thing to see if I can bring them up, but I don't think I can, but let me try, because I'm on the phone. So 1 second. I'm still here. I'm just, let me just get into my email and see if I can find it and do it from there. Can you still hear me? Bernice, can you still hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, let me just try, let's see if I can, I'm going to just try something. I don't know if I can get them, but let's try and see if I can share from here. You need to let me have access to share my slides, please. Have you made me a co-host? Have you made me a co-host? It says only the host can share in the meeting. Okay, I'm a co-host now, so let me. I think it's important that that they see the slide. So maybe towards the end of the last slide, we can take the slide down and then I can talk through. But I think it's important to show the slides. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Right, I'm going to start. Are you able to bring up the slides? Yeah, if you just bring the slides up, please. So I will start while the slides are coming up. So it's really good to be here at the Kenyan Nurses and Midwifery Association UK. I thanks to Bernice and the rest of the association for inviting me to be here today. And it's really important to be here because of being a diaspora member myself. I have Nigerian heritage, and it's really important to me that I support the diaspora. So today I'm talking to you really about self-development. Now a session like this really needs half a day or a few hours. So today I'm going to give you a snapshot. This is a snapshot, a taster of what we mean by self-development. And in my slides, I've given you some examples because I think it's okay to talk about self-development, but it's really good also to apply the theory of self-development to practice. Just start checking once again that you can hear me fine. Yeah, lovely. So self-development is also known as personal development, and it's the process of consciously working to improve oneself. So that means that you might need to enhance your skills, you might set yourself some personal and professional goals. But the whole purpose of self-development is that you grow. So self-development is a lifelong process. It involves learning new things, building skills, and improving your capabilities and your capacities. And in self-development, you might have set yourself some goals around aspirations from a personal point of view and a professional point of view as well. And so the primary goal here is self-development. And that also means that you are aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, that you have meaningful goals in your life as well. And really, it's about exploiting, we don't often say that, but it's about exploiting your talent, and others, for example, your line manager might exploit your talent and you reaching your full potential. So when it comes to self-development, we really mean self-development of your mind. It might be self-development of your spirit. It also means self-development of skills. And these skills can be either soft or hard, for example, maybe doing a course or a program, or developing your interpersonal skills. Self-development also involves expanding your knowledge, and you expand your knowledge through formal learning and informal learning, as well as life and its experiences that they bring into your life as well. And there's also something in terms of self-development about your self-awareness. Are you aware of how you come across? Are you aware about what your reputation is? Do you understand what happens when you come into a room? Are you aware of your posture, your body language, etc., etc.? And are you aware of how you behave? Self-development also includes personal growth. So that really means about understanding things about your character. What are your traits? Do you have a positive mindset? Do you have a pessimistic mindset? What kind of behaviors do you ensue? And self-development also is about increasing your own self-esteem and building your own confidence. So that's really one of the outcomes, is that as you grow, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, that you are building confidence and self-esteem. And when you have that, there's a greater job satisfaction, people recognize and see your talents, and you improve your competencies in this particular area. And so I think self-development also is about you being purposeful. So have you decided, so you might come here today and you might be a junior staff nurse or junior practitioner, wherever the health landscape is, whether it's in the NHS, whether it's in health and social care, whether it's in the independent sector, whether it's in academia, the health landscape is huge. So what kind of goals do you have for whatever healthcare setting you're in? And you do need to have goals because they give you purpose and give you aims. And any purpose or goals that you have for yourself should be SMART. So that means that they should be specific, measurable, achievable, they should be relevant, and they should be timely. So the timely can be anything from a few months to a year or several years. And it's really important to have a plan. Now, sometimes you can have a plan that's on paper, you've got your timelines, you've got your milestones, or it could be a plan in your head, or it could be a plan in your heart that says, I'm in this job, I've been in this job for, I don't know, a year, 2 years. I might not write it down, but I'm thinking to myself, the next 5 years, I need to be moving from this job, or at least deciding to stay at the same level or move up the ladder. And so sometimes it might be good to create a plan. Seek feedback. I think that's really important. Sometimes we think we know how we come across, we think we know how we project ourselves, but it's always useful to make sure that you understand how other people see you and how you come across. And having a mentor is really good for that particular reason. I think also this thing about having a mind of inquiry, I always say to people, especially junior staff and colleagues that sometimes feel stuck, have a mind of inquiry. Learning is continuous, it's lifetime. Even me at a senior head of nursing post, I'm still learning, okay? And I still have a mind of inquiry. And there's also something then about looking after yourself, practicing self-care, being wary of burnout, recognizing when you are burnt out. How do you get back on track in terms of your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health? And be persistent as well. So it's sometimes managing and navigating your world through the blockages and the gates that are shut. So sometimes you have to be persistent. You have to kind of overcome the obstacles and sometimes recognize when the obstacle might be really huge and trying to overcome that obstacle might cause you more damage. You have to also recognize that as well. So, any other slides up? Yeah? Before I continue? Hello? Yeah, are the slides up? Okay, so the next slide is, can you put the slide up? It's a pictures, it's got some pictures. Have you got that slide up? Right, so this is, so we're talking about self-development, and I think it's really important to understand where you're from as you go on your journey of self-development. So in this slide, which is slide number 4, 1 second. Sorry, I had to put my glasses on. In this slide, which is slide number 4, this is a picture of my family. And in order to know where you're going, you need to know where you're coming from. And this is my family. My mum and dad is on the left. They came from Nigeria in the 1960s. It took my dad a month to come over, sailing on a ship called the Elder Dempster. And he always instilled in me a sense of discipline, doing the right thing, being thorough, being diligent. In the middle is the picture of my mum's paternal parents, my maternal parents, grandparents, and that's my grandma and my grandfather. They met when they were very young, back in Lagos, and my grandfather was a merchant seaman and went all over the world sailing. That might be where I've got my kind of wanderlust and my global perspective from. And on the right-hand side are pictures of my family, where my mum got her UK citizenship. So having a strong sense of self and history and legacy helped me to shape where I'm going. And I think that's why I wanted to be a nurse. And you need to understand the reasons why you're in the profession. It's a gift, it's a privilege, and it's a way to give back, and it's of service as well. All those things I think are important about your ethical compass as well. Next slide, please. So the next slide is really why I chose nursing. Why did you choose nursing? I was very ill when I was small, and I was always in the hospital, and that kind of made me feel safe, and I wanted to kind of give that back. And the nurses looked after me really well. I was the only black girl in my class, you can see there. I have a sense of professional pride. I'm homegrown, and I started my career in oncology, but most of my career has been in the intensive care field, but now more management. So understand your legacy and your history. Do you ever go back and reflect upon that to see where you started and where you are now and where you hope to be? Next slide, please. So the next slide is a slide with a few figures and my career path. Now, I put this up because this is my bio, my CV. I have moved quite well through the different bands. For a black woman, a black nurse, this path is not very usual because often we, of people of colour, have quite a bit of challenge moving up the career ladder because there's discrimination, there is bias, etc., etc. So I was able to work through the different grades, and I tell you, one of the things that helped me in terms of my development journey is that I had really good mentors. they were white mentors, white colleagues, because when I was coming through the system from 1989 till now, especially in the 1990s, there weren't any black or Asian or African or Caribbean senior nurses. Who they were very few, and I never saw them. So it was really incumbent on me to kind of learn the system and get mentoring from my white colleagues. And at the top of the picture is Dr. Andy Webb, who was an intensive care physician. He was the be-all and end-all. He taught me everything about intensive care. And then to the right of him is Louise Bowden, who was the chief nurse at UCLH, which is where I trained. And she instilled in me a sense of thoroughness and being diligent. She would often talk to me about equality and equity, and I learned a lot from her. She was a real stickler. And so I think for self-development, you also need to have people that are your peers, that can coach you, that you aspire to as well. And I have about at least 3 or 4 of those, people that lift me up when I'm down, people that critique me and tell me to help me to choose which direction of travel as well. And I also have a strong sense of faith, because that directs me as well. So just remember to seek those peers and mentors. And so most of my career has been intensive care and cardiac medicine. And then I didn't really set out to go up the ladder, but I knew I wanted to progress. And sometimes I've been in the right place, and sometimes you need to surround yourself with people who are influential, who can take you there. Sometimes you have to be looking and thinking of what posts look really good and apply for them. And some people will push you as well. So there are many, there are different ways and routes of developing yourself. The other thing around self-development for me is about making sure I do things outside of the 4 walls of your organization. I read vociferously, whether it's from social media, whether it's from articles, whether it was from editorials. I read vociferously. I like to know what's going on in the profession. I like to know what's happening outside of the profession, and I have things that interest me. So I have edited 2 chapters in a book. I sit on various committees. I think it's my absolutely fundamental responsibility to bring my people with me. So that's people from ethnic minority backgrounds. I mentor people from all colours and all heritages and all backgrounds. But it's important for me to be on the table where strategy is being formed, where the direction of travel, whether it's be the NMC, the RCN, some charities. I want the nursing and midwifery voice to be strong. I want to be part of that voice, and I want to make sure that Black, Asian, African nurses and midwives are at the forefront of some of those conversations. And for that, you have to be role modeling, okay? That's part of me and my personal growth. I'm aware of what people think of me, how I'm perceived, and I'm articulate. So that's about reading, having some intelligence, being politically astute as well, and sometimes forcing yourself to the table as well. Next slide. So the next slide just gives a description of my role. And it's important as you go up the ladder in terms of your development journey that you understand that you have to deliver in some of these roles, especially at the senior level. Do all you can to make sure that you deliver on your mandate with your job description. And I often just double check my role profile, check what I'm meant to be doing, measure myself against what I'm meant to be doing, and then what I'm doing now, being very, very clear, especially if I'm summoned in front of the board or my line manager. And whatever role you are, you need to be really clear about delivering against your role and your role profile and job description, because that's how also you can develop and escalate up the ladder. I'm not saying this like it's a smooth transition. It doesn't mean there are obstacles. I got really burnt out several years ago, and I collapsed at work, and I got an ulcer. And part of self-development is recognizing your limits, okay? And recognizing your limits when the environment is really toxic, recognizing your limits where where people are just blocking you and they don't want you to progress, and recognizing your limits where you've done all you can in that role and you need to move. You need to move away from that role, and aspire to the next level. Okay, my next slide then is some of the things around around development. So remember I said that some of part of self-development is doing different roles. And so I chaired the NHS England's Chief Midwifery Officer and Chief Nursing Officers Black Minority Ethnic Strategic Advisory Group. That has been a whole, I think, 20 years of self-development in recognizing what we need to do as a group of professionals to make sure that our voice is heard, to make sure our concerns are heard, to showcase the depth and breadth and the brilliance of BME nurses and midwives, to advise the CNO and the CMIDO from a national point of view, and to engage staff and make sure that we can listen to their voices and raise them up as well. And the COVID work that we did during COVID, I think was quite seminal and as in history now. So those are the things that make not just myself grow, makes us as a group grow, and then the people that are coming behind us as well. So it's important to get out there. The next slide is just a picture of the strategic advisory group. I've completed my tenure as chair now, so Gifty and Vi and Wendy or Lay or Walla, they're the joint chairs and the maternity lead. So other things that help you grow, remember the external interest. It was important during COVID that we know about the disproportionality. And so I think there's something about showcasing and making sure that nurses, Black and Asian nurses, are out there in the field, showcasing what we do well. So that may be writing an article, writing an editorial, doing a webinar. This slide is around nursing narratives. It was a documentary on racism during the pandemic, and I was part of several nurses who gave our kind of reflections and our accounts of COVID during, I think, 2021, 2022, we finished the documentary. And that documentary, as well as being here in the UK, has gone across Europe as well. And that's really important that we hold spaces and we're part of the dialogue around BME nurses and midwives. So my last slide is really some tips to help you, to assist you, to get you to reflect about the self-development question that you might have for yourself. And if those of you are in leadership positions, you're also developing others as well. So one of the things really in this last slide is around just challenging yourself. So step out of your area, step out of your comfort zone. My friend and colleague Ruth Oshikami says that the area of most of you grow, the way you grow more when you're sitting in discomfort. Okay, that's where you grow. So when you're comfortable, there may be less challenge there. There may be a spirit of satiety because everything's looking good. And then when the insult, when the trauma comes, it completely turns you upside down because your comfort zone hasn't prepared you. So there is something about stepping out of your area, moving into the area of discomfort to prepare you, to equip you with how to cope with some challenges. So move out of your lane when you need to do it. Be careful and wary of corporate psychopaths. So within your organization, you'll have some people that are psychopaths. These are people that make your environment really toxic. They hunt you down. They repress you. You can do nothing right in their eyes. Everything is a problem for them, and they will not help you to grow. So you have to decide whether you fight, decide how much it costs, or move out of there and get away from that toxic place. The other things about development is you must read, increase your knowledge, whether it's a personal or professional. Read, because other things that are outside of health and nursing and midwifery also help you to grow. So you might want to read about finance, you might read about politics, you might read about art. All these things are important as well. Stay healthy and well, okay? Just watch how you manage your life in terms of your health. Listen to your body, listen to any warning signs as well. How you grow as well, if you are in positions, keep your eye on how people are measuring your performance. You know, if you're in a role where part of your competency is about delivering on, I don't know, quality and safety, patient experience, looking after specialized people, or working out in the community, whatever it is, you've got metrics that people will be assessing you on. So it's important that you recognize what they are and work and deliver on them as well. Take calculated risks. Not everything is always safe. There might be sometimes that you might have to take a bit of a risk. You might have to make a risky decision, but weigh up what are the pros and what are the cons. Okay, balance them up and decide whether the risks you can take certain risks because the outcome will be really good, or if you take those risks, it's too dangerous. So you just have to weigh those up with the advantages and disadvantages. The other thing is about think creatively in your development. So think creatively in terms of solutions and fixing problems. So if the traditional way is way A, it might not always deliver what you need to be, and you might need to go to route B. Get a buddy, a mentor or a peer, really important. Make sure that you have people in and outside of the profession also that can care and support you as well. And I think the last kind of thing is just be prepared. I think just be aware, especially when you're going up the ladder. Most of the times you have to be interviewed either as a panel or one-to-one. You're in a competition, okay, you're competing about others. When you go into an interview, be prepared, read, check yourself, how you look, dress the part, do videos of yourself so you can understand how you come across, how articulate you are, what your body language is like. These things are really, really important. And so we may complain that we don't get certain interviews because of systemic issues, but I see many that don't prepare well for interviews. So please prepare. And I think the last thing I would say is just understand who you are, what your character is like. Do you understand your currency? And when I say currency, I mean, do you understand, what do you stand for? When you walk into a room, do you carry gravitas? Okay, do people know that you mean business? Do people know that you're caring? Do people know that you have a moral compass? Do people know that you're honest? Do people know that you are able to lead, if that's the role that you are taking? And the final piece is just make sure that you have downtime, okay? That you care for yourself and care for others too. So that's the end of my presentation today.
Wow. Very powerful voice. Felicia Kwaku, self-development. It starts from there. It starts from self-development. I think we're just getting to the end just about. We have a few others in the room and a few sponsors. Like I say, the event has been difficult for Banis to organize. So the first sponsor was actually a keynote speaker, Mr. George Washuri, Optiven.
Attending this wonderful, fantastic, fabulous event, Kenyans, nurses and midwives, I want to thank you for coming together, working together, networking together, because that is our strength as Kenyan people. I also want to thank you for supporting our nation, Kenya. Thank you for supporting Optiven. I know most of you have got properties with us. Some have bought Vipingo in the East African coast. There are others who bought Nanyuki. There are those who bought Nakuru. There are those who bought Kilifi. There are those who bought Kimuka. There are those who bought Kitengela. Those who bought Success Gardens. We say as Optiven, as Dr. George Washuri, the CEO of Optiven, we say thank you. We thank you so much for the partnership. And I want to encourage you, even as we celebrate this today's theme of inspiring and empowering self-growth, I want to encourage all of you that together we can be able to do something. And I'll share with you a few thoughts that I have learned for the last 26 years in business, that the self-growth is real. And the self-growth you're talking about, you as an individual keeping the focus, because every single person here in this particular forum, you have your own focus, you have your own direction. There's something that you want to achieve before you go to heaven. And of course, you're not going soon, you're going after 100 years. Once you keep that focus, maybe it's a focus on investment, it's a focus on supporting other people, it's a focus of supporting yourself, you can be able to thrive, you can be able to succeed, because we are wired, we were created for success. And I call success unto you, even as we celebrate one another, even as we encourage one another in today's forum. And number two, for us to keep empowering self-growth, always go for partnership. Always go for partnerships. You know, when people work together, something happens. The other day I was in Zambia, and I see the way a business community there, they are working with the government. Even here in Kenya, the community in business, they're also working with different counties. And once these partnerships are solidified, success is part of you. The same case with you. Even as you do your work in nursing and midwifing, you can be able to say, within my work, within my other goals, not necessarily related to work, what can I do with other people for me to thrive? And then number three is a personal vision. All of us, we have a personal vision. There's something we want to do to see in the next 10 years. There's something we want to see in the next 50 years. What do you want to see? And I always tell people when I mentor them that you can be able to record it. Once you record it, it's already 50% achieved. And my inspiration, my encouragement, that personal vision, don't drop it. Things may be tough, may be difficult. Maybe some people have let you down, but it's not time to give up. It's time to keep moving, because at the end of the day, the Bible says you can fall 7 times. And the 8th time, you rise up and walk. And I want to encourage you, regardless of the challenges that has happened before, forget about them. Let us forge forward. Keep forging forward that personal vision. Then number 4, for us to encourage ourselves on self-growth, is what I call inspiring yourself, encouraging yourself, inspiring yourself, building yourself. And even as you inspire yourself, remember, we were created as a community. As you inspire yourself, remember also to inspire other people. And once you inspire other people, there's something happens. Universe is very generous. Universe will pay you back. And even as you celebrate this day, I wish every single person of you success, good health. And once you do this, as a community, as a people, we have no choice but to thrive. May God bless you. Remember, Optiven is here for you. And if you are there, you're wondering, hey, George Washiri, Dr. Washiri, I don't have anything in Kenya. Now you have a partner. We'll give you 26 years of experience. You can be able to buy a property on Maripo ya Pole Pole. You can buy our property in a location that you require, because you are in over 30 locations. We are in Vipingo. Vipingo is a beautiful, beautiful project. This project, when you are there, is only 2 miles to the ocean. You can be able to view the ocean. And we are bringing all the global communities, whether you are Kenyan, you are in the UK, you are in Zambia, you are in the US, you can be able to purchase. And this property, Optiven is doing carbon paved roads, we are doing perimeter wall, we are doing water reticulation, and it's actually a 5-star. Those who bought a manage, this is another example of a manage in Kiabu, 5-star. But within the project, we have another zone for people who are, we call in Kenya, Mkulima Mdogo. This one is a 4-star. Instead of doing cabro, we are doing compacted maram rooms. But to do the clubhouse, we'll do the swimming pool, we'll do perimeter wall, and you can be able to do your home there. And the home there, if you do a 5-bedroom home, people are charging them 75,000 a night. Can you imagine? So even if you're active for only 10 days, you have your money back. The best gated community, the best global gated community to invest is Vipingo by Optiven. Only 30 minutes from the airport, and only 80 minutes from Mutwapa, and 2 miles or 7 minutes to the ocean. What are you waiting for? Just log in here and we'll give you a special offer, because you are also adding value to Optiven. We'll give you a special offer. Our DRM, our Diaspora Relationship Manager, Madam Lillian, is watching this video. And you are able to, we'll share the number here so that you are able to contact her and you can be able to get whatever you want. God bless you. We love you. We value you. When you're in Kenya, please pay us a visit. We are in Absa Plaza, 2nd floor. Or if you're in Karen, we're in a global office in Karen, and we love you. We value you. You are part and parcel of us. Your very own Dr. George Washiri. God bless.
Wow. That was our keynote speaker, Dr. Washiri. We live here.
Hey, thank you. Good to see all of you attending this wonderful, fantastic, fabulous event. Kenyans and nurses and midwives. I want to thank you for coming together, together, networking together.
Are we done now? Thank you very much. Now, obviously, like you said, we work hard, but we invest harder. Because coming the future is going to come a time whereby we can't work as hard, but the money we've invested would help us better. the homes we've built. We have Unity Homes. Unity Home is going to have 3 minutes to tell us about Unity Home. And of course, remember, some of these investors who are coming is because they know diaspora, we need honest and working people like Sam, who is going to be telling us about the new upcoming place. What do we call it?
Tattoo City.
Tattoo City. That is a new place that all Kenyans, especially the diaspora, we are owning.
Thank you so much. How is everyone doing? Mko sawa? Okay, very nice. Thank you for inviting me. One thing I want to mention, when Bernice called me, I said I have to come in person. All right? I said I have to come in person, just meet you. Why it's so special for me to be able to come all the way from Kenya and come here in person is because it's not meeting some of you. Quite a number of you have already invested with us back home. And actually, there is one of you is going to just come and talk about their experience, including even the entire process, just to tell you this is something that is actually working. And then also with me, I am joined by a partner who is also going to talk stage. But I just want to give you a general overview about what we are doing as Unity Homes. I'm not doing a presentation over there, and that's because you have this on your desks, all right, on your tables. So this is my flyer. In the flyer, it shows you all options of what we are doing back at Unity Homes. So at Unity Homes, we have different options. We have options for 1-bedroom houses, 2-bedroom houses, 3-bedroom houses, and also we have a townhouse for those people who might be interested in a townhouse. Important thing I'd like to mention, going by the people who have spoken and everything, I picked one thing, and that was from Mercy. Mercy talked about starting. She said, you just start, all right? You just start. So you don't have to wait for the right time. You don't have to wait for the right conditions. Start now, yes. Start where you are, start now, start with what you have, all right? So what we are doing is we are creating a very enabling environment, especially for people who are working here, because we've partnered with banks, and those banks are basically going to be able to finance you in case you need to acquire property. And then on top of that, what now we do, we offer end-to-end services. So the end-to-end services that we offer is upon completion of the construction, we get you a tenant, and you do the vetting of the tenant, and the rent is paid directly to your account. So you can earn income while working here, but you're earning from home, all right? You're earning from home. So that's something that I think is worth considering, and I'm happy to mention that I'll be here for the next 2 weeks. I actually stay here at Holiday Inn. Anytime you want to have a one-on-one meeting, as long as you have this in your hand, at the back, they only reach out to me. Today, because this is a day that I want to spend time with you guys, I'll be seated in that corner over there. The first couple of people who come to visit my corner, you won't leave empty-handed. You won't leave empty-handed, but I'm not saying you won't leave with the house. I'm just saying you won't leave empty-handed. So yeah, basically that's a quick summary of what we are doing. Allow me to please invite Mr. Mugo to just come and say something very quickly. Yeah.
Okay, habari yenu wa Kenya. I am one of the person who bought a property there, and I have a legal background, so I vetted everything from square one to the end, and I got a very clean deal. I insisted on my own lawyer. Of course, I paid my lawyer, but you don't have to. Their process is meticulous. Of course, they say, let the buyer know. Of course, it was my first time. I was very cautious. So I had my lawyer. It went on. Completion was done. Then they got me a very good tenant. And as I am sitting here, I'm still earning money. So theirs is genuine. I can confess and I can confirm. However, when we come from Kenya, it is not like Vika, Nairobi. If you look at myself, I have a shirt and a jacket, which is closer to my body. Yeah? Be very careful when you come here. It is not going home tomorrow. As you know, the new people with the COS is a wrong process. You come with children, you need to settle down, you are paying bills, you are paying rent. If I were you, and I'm not done praying anything, I've lived here for the last almost 30 years. First of all, get a house here. You start paying little money as mortgage. It is still appreciating. So by the time you are reaching about 20 years, you get equity. But if you are here for a short time, invest in Kenya. Talk to them, they'll help you. But if you think you'll be here for the last maybe 20 to 40 years, please take care of the shirt and don't worry about the jacket. The jacket will come as time continues. Here, I'll talk in Swahili here. Ni Wakenya tu ambao wanapigia makofi wabeberu. Nisikia mlipiga makofi sana. I hope wale sio wale waliua Kimathi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mugo. I'd like to confirm one thing. We haven't paid him. That is his own testimonial, his own experience, based on what he experienced when he came on board and he bought a property from us. So karibuni sana. I'll be happy to engage you some more. Asante sana.
Thank you, Sam. And we have beautiful people. Beautiful people. And then we have Cicely. It's Cicely, yeah. Cicely is one of the authors. You've got just 2 minutes to introduce your book. Thank you. Give it up again for Madam Cicely.
Thank you. It's very, very encouraging to see men and women who have took the risk of coming to a country that they knew nothing about. And for those who knew something about it, you had not been here, but you trusted whoever encouraged you to come. So meeting the midwives and the nurses who are determined to be the to make the difference that they want to see, gives me the encouragement to stand here. And our good friend Dennis, the mayor, the second black mayor in Reading. The first mayor. The first councillor was many, many years ago. It has taken a number of years before we gotten another black, not a councillor, but mayor. And that gives us the hope that we are getting somewhere. And yes, we are. We have a Kenyan. We know that this is God's world. So please own it and be proud about it. We have worked with Dennis for a long, long time. And so when Dennis, you come, we do not take it for granted. He actually talked of the Maasais. Who knew Maasais would come in this country? It was a cricket game. It was. And they were actually campaigning against FGM. Men playing cricket to say that they are not ready to marry men who are gone through FGM. And they actually prayed with the former MP of Reading. And that's how change makers go out of their way to effect or to bring the change that they are looking for. Now, personally, I was blessed to have the passion for having my voice being heard there. But not for this generation, but for generations to come. And that's why I got into writing. I knew I was never a good public speaker, and I'm still learning. So Janet, thank you so much. We are learning from people like you and Veronica. So I knew that was not my space, but I knew if I write a book, it will be learned across the globe. And that gives me the motivation to continue writing. I have written 14 books. Yes. And my starting point was in 2009 when I attended Women's International Day Conference. I love conferences, so Bernice, thank you so much for your invite in this. When I attended that conference, there was a lady who was launching a book, and I knew I had written so many notes over years in every conference, from every conference that I attended. And that night, I went home and put everything I had written over the years up to around 4 o'clock. And in 3 months, I launched my first pink book. I call it my first pink book. And it was like an injection. I was given an injection because since then, every year I have written a book, hence the 14 books. And this is my latest book. Dennis, I don't think you knew that. So it's good to come to these community things. So this is my latest book. I call it the Small Pocket Book. Small pocket book because you work with it, you put it in your handbag, and as you're waiting for for a parking place to come, you are reading it. And what inspires me most is to see that we have so many others around. Ruthie, I wasn't around when you launched your book. I really wanted to be there, but I'm glad that you're here. Because together we make the difference that we are looking for. Veronica, I know your book is going places. Bitter experiences in life refine us and make us, want to inform more. So please take a moment and get to understand or to have a copy, because it's a privilege to be in front of people who have put their information or who have made their voice heard in different ways. Now, somebody said, they say good writers and good readers, and good readers and good writers. No, readers as in reading, but also readers in reading. Yeah? So it was just, I've always learned books. And the important thing that I've learned over the years is from my mentors. Who knows John Maxwell here? He's one of the best readers. And he's actually the one who came up with that statement. And he said, if you want to be better, be around good people. And I think a few speakers I've listened to have said the same. That if you're among 5 clever people, you are the 6th. And if you are among the 5 foolish people, then again you are the 6th. So consider where you want to be. Consider where you want to be. And I'll leave you with this one question. Who would you rather be? A clever person or a wise person? A wise person. You are a very good team, because many people say I would rather be among the clever people. Now, we say that experience is the best teacher. But actually, if you don't want to go through bitter experiences, learn from people who have gone before. And this week I learned one other statement, that experience is the best teacher, yes, but it has to be evaluated experience. So how well have you evaluated your experience to be where you are? So let's learn to read. Our last speaker talked about reading. Because it is where it has taken, that's what has taken us to places. I happen to work in the NHS, and I really understand the politics, the difficulties in it, but the best you can do is to invest in yourself, both in time and in the finances that you have. My second last book is titled Don't Be Silenced. I put this book together because I was so bitter in what I was experiencing at my workplace. But actually, I was speaking to myself. I don't like because I'm an expert, but because I learn and get encouraged by what I learn about. So don't be silenced. It's one of those that speaks. Sorry? Oh, right. Okay. So don't be silenced is the one thing I also say. Please, wherever you are, don't be silenced. If we came here all those many years, you've heard from James there, and an experience of having gatherings like this, I think we would have gone very far, or we would have built our resilience earlier and better. So consider yourself blessed that you have people like Banes who can put these things together and give you the tips on how to go or to navigate through the NHS services. And even the teaching, because discrimination is real. You can never change who you are, but appreciate yourself, but most of all, invest in yourself. You have smartphones with you. Please Google CM books and trainings. CM books and trainings. I'll be launching this book on Sunday. I know a number of you have read it already, but it is not officially launched. So I'll be launching that. And the website, that is CM Books and Trainings. Get there and invest in yourself as much as you can. So thank you, Janet. I've always wanted to be like you. And when I grow up, I'll be like you.
You already are big out there. You know what? I'm listening. Most of the people we are introducing now, they work in the NHS. What we are trying to say, don't just be a consumer. Also be a creator. Let your voice be heard out there. One of my best sayings that I say to young people is, be your own ambassador. Be your own ambassador. Represent yourself well. So if writing is what you want to do, do it. If it's creating content, you want to do content that will sort the world, do it. We had heard from Veronica. She has her books at the back. You will see her later on. We have a networking. So we have the last person is going to be Lucy. She's also working with an NHS, but also an author. Menopause. When she talks about something we don't talk about, within the African community especially, we don't talk about menopause. So you got your 3 minutes to introduce your book.
Hello, everyone. Oh, it's nice to see all of you here. My name is Lucy. I am an author of this wonderful book. It's called The Journey Within, Navigating Perimenopause. How many of you are over 35 years old in this room? Raise your hands if you're over 35. Anybody over 35? Yeah, because scientifically, that's when you can begin to get the symptoms of perimenopause. What inspired me to write this book was my own experience. As I was getting into my late 40s, I began feeling a way that I hadn't felt before. And I wasn't sure what I was feeling. So I took it upon myself to do my research and understand exactly what was going on with me. So in this book, you will find what perimenopause is, when it starts, the symptoms you will get, the herbal things you can use to help yourself. If you choose to go the medical way, I've written about the HRT as well. I'm here to change the status quo. As African women, these are things we don't talk about. So let's have an open discussion and let us support one another when we're going through these things. So yeah, I've got some books right over there. So yeah, feel free to get a copy for yourselves. Thank you. And I will say also, where is Cicely gone? I think I've known Cicely for a long time. She's one of the people who I look up to because she's been an author for a long time. But Like her, I'm a reader, I'm a writer, I write little articles here and there, but I've never put anything together of this scale. So my reading and writing and wherever, Cicely, I give it up to you. You've inspired me. Thank you.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, the hot flashes, the crazy sweats, you don't know where they're coming from. Yeah? Most of you are laughing because you don't know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah? I'm speaking to the men now. I'm speaking to the men. Just try to understand your women when they're going through that perimenopause. Because sometimes you don't realize what has happened to my wife or my partner. She's been amazing, but all of a sudden, she's shouting aimlessly. As a woman, also try to find your safe place in your home. I loved reading that book. Lucy, I love reading it. And I introduced it to my husband. He's reading it before bed. Now, I mean, do nurses have fun? Yeah, because I said earlier on, formal time and then social time. I always say, you have your formal, yes, you enjoy that, but social time. So before we close this session, what's going to happen next, we're going to go outside for a little networking as they prepare this place for food. They'll bring the food in so as we can come in and eat. So you'll have about 20 minutes or so networking so as they can bring the food in. But before that, I would have wanted us to have a little dance. Are you ready to dance? Yeah? I have a very big God and Jerusalem. Those two songs. Are you ready to dance? Yeah? Who is a better dancer than me? The competition is happening. Better dancer than me? Come on, come on, come on, come on. I have a very big... Come on. DJ.